Hey everybody, GameHounds podcast. And I'm hoping that one or more of you, if my mic is not right, that you'll tell me. Because I've been a busy girl this morning, running around. And I'm sorry that I'm about on time for what we normally have for our show. But I was actually hoping to be on time today, but it didn't happen. I realized as I sat down to start the show that my stomach was growling so loud you could actually hear it in the microphone. So I'm like, all right, I gotta go get some food. So I ran down and got a burrito. Hi, how you doing? Who's in the chat room? No, Cass. We're working on Cass. Cass is going to be here in a bit. He said that he's running late. Well, what did he say specifically? And he said, oh, he is ready. Oh, I forgot to I forgot to invite him. Oops. Let me see if I can get him now. Let's see. Andrew. There we go. Nope. No. I'm trying to get it. And here we go. Yeah, that was my oversight that I didn't send him an invite. No wonder he wasn't here. He's going to be here any second now. How are you? How's things? I'll wait till Chaos gets here before I actually start the music. This afternoon, this last night and the night before, I downloaded a ton of the audio shows for previous shows, going back quite some time because I had the recordings here, but I didn't have the audio, and it takes a bit to get the audio pulled off of StreamYard. But I've pulled the audio off of most of StreamYard, and I am going to start uploading them tonight. And I'm not going to do it all at once because it takes a lot of time to do even one. But I'm going to start loading a few of them up, hopefully catching us up on the actual audio podcast. Because who is it that when it's in the Discord? By the way, if you haven't joined the Discord, you might want to do that. Here's our Discord. See right there? That's our Discord. Go, just sign in. Go join. If anything weird happens, that's where we put the information is the Discord. And we have Andrew. Maybe. Do we have an Andrew?
We do.
Oh my God. You have a very noisy line, but that's okay.
2 seconds.
Oh, 2 seconds. Really? Really? What a dick.
No, is that better? I just had to shut my window.
Oh, okay. Yes, it actually is much better.
Okay. There's an AC unit outside my window, so that's what's causing the problem.
Yep, that's exactly what it was. How are you? I haven't talked to you in like forever.
I mean, what was it, like 3 weeks ago, I think? What show was I on?
Yeah, but
I should jump back in like 4 times.
Yeah, you. Oh yeah, that's right. I remember that one.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Thank you for filling in for Nick. Nick is going to be back next week. I have been in contact with him. Yeah, I know. I think he's in Denver. So he's still in Denver.
He could be doing an audio show on the road. He could do it.
I did an audio show from Iceland, just saying.
Exactly.
I mean, I was in Iceland. I had to get up in the middle of the night to do a show.
Exactly. He's just a slacker.
Yeah, he is. So let's might as well hit the show. We're going to have, by the way, Andrew, and also everybody else, we're going to have a relatively short show. I don't have much to talk about with games. I've been busy and have not done games. And yes, I really should have and really wanted to, but I got terribly distracted by something. So I'm not going to talk about any games unless you want to talk about games.
Honestly, I have been playing mostly just older stuff and like making through my catalog, but it's all games from like 3-4 years ago, 5 years ago.
But I do have only a couple of items to talk about, but both of them are quite significant. I would call them both the only above the, in fact, that's what I should have named the show, only above the fold news, because these are the two big, significant, controversial, like kind of, both of them are kind of fucking people over, but in different ways. So we will talk about that. But we'll just, chat a little bit and then hit the news. So let me start the show because yes, it's going on the podcast. It's going on iTunes. Stand by. Let me get to our intro music. All right, here we go.
Modern culture and technology, and these podcasters are big fat potty mouths. If you're younger than 18 or are easily offended, please stop this podcast now. Oh, and your mom says to take out the trash and do your homework.
Hello and welcome to GameHounds. GameHounds episode 714. We are recording this on Sunday, April 28th, 2024. I'm Edie Sellers, and with me is Chaos. I'm not by myself anymore. I've got friends. Hi, Chaos. Did I lose you, Chaos? Andrew?
Damn, I was just going to see how long I can make you seem
Fuck
crazy.
You. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Chaos was never real, Edie.
It's all a figment of my imagination. Thank you very much, you dick.
I mean, someone has to play Nick, right?
You did get me though. I mean, I full on was like, "Oh, have I lost Chaos?"
Yeah.
So, how are you? How's things?
I'm doing good, but I just want to ask, how does it feel to have done 714 episodes? Like, that is an absurd number.
It is an absurd number, but here's the more interesting thing is that because I've been going back to Libsyn to look for some older stuff for a different reason. I went back to look for some interviews that I had done in like 2008 and 2009, which required me to go into Libsyn. And Libsyn actually, I didn't know this until it went in, shows the actual amount of episodes that have been done in total, not just the episode number, but actually how many different episodes have been uploaded and are available.
So like pack stuff and like
all the pack stuff,
like little fun stuff that you did.
Exactly. Interviews, one-off interviews with developers and stuff. Yeah. 1,039 episodes. Everything from
you've gone live
1,039
times. On Libsyn.
Yeah, if you think about it, I should add up the hours and find out and figure out if I hit the 10,000 hours of being a professional, being an expert on something.
Then you're good.
I'm officially an expert.
I was 14, I think, when I met you.
Yeah.
On a fun fact, Xbox used to be a fun place with community. And they used to host like get-togethers with podcasters or like whoever wanted to sign up for it. And Edie invited me to play Call of Duty with her. Like a little kid, and then I was too nervous to talk to the really popular podcaster for a long time until I was like 16, and then we ended up playing games.
Right, and then we became really good friends, and then you became a co-host, and so you were 14 when you started. How old are you now?
I'm going to be 32 next month.
That is so insane to me. That is so insane that you're like practically my child. Because when you were 14, I was definitely old enough to be almost your grandmother, almost old enough to be your grandmother.
Yeah, like I was listening to you on like an iPod mini or like it's not the really small one. It's one that had the USB that you could like plug into a computer and then just like play and the next button. Yep. That's how I was listening to the podcast.
Yep. Then. And it is, and you are not the only one you're the only one that became a co-host, but you're not the only one of the listeners that are still listening that are like that.
Yeah.
And it is one of the reasons why I will never stop doing this podcast. I don't care if nobody's in. I'm going to be doing this podcast.
At some point, we'll do a fundraiser to get us in the Guinness Book of World Records for the longest gaming podcast.
That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for that I eventually, because I'm in the contention right now, longest continuously running podcast in history. Yeah. I am absolutely crossing my fingers that I can do this. So yeah, no, I'm going for the Guinness Book of World Records right now. And other grudgy things that if you've ever listened to the Q&A, the Ask Me Anything, the AMA that I did, you will know the grudge that I'm holding that I'm also looking forward to settling. So why don't you tell me what you have been playing?
Oh
older
man.
games. Because man,
So-
there's so many games coming. Holy crap!
See, here's the thing. There's been a lot of games that have come out that I've bought,
Mhm.
and then I have refunded before even playing.
Really?
And yeah, it's. I did that with Dragon's Dogma, for instance. I think I'd have a lot of fun with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I've had this aversion to getting new games, like really wanting to get invested, and I don't know if that's just a me thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's led me to go back and like just play older games. Like I've been on Warframe a bit. They're coming out with another update here soon. They always come out with new updates. But it'd been like 3 years since I played that, so I'm back to that. I'm working my way through Persona 5 Royal,
Mm-hmm.
which is
Really?
great. Yeah.
You didn't play it through?
No, I played it on the PlayStation. Mind you, that game came out in like 2016.
Oh, I know.
It's an old
I
game
know.
now,
I know. I've played it in
It's-
2016.
and it's amazing.
It is amazing. Everything. Almost all. There's been a couple of notable exceptions, but just about every single Persona is mind-blowingly good.
I played Persona 3 on the PSP back in the day.
Wow.
And in order for that game to run, they took all of the social elements of that game
Uh-huh.
and made it a visual novel.
Oh my
So
god.
instead of like walking around like as an actual 3D character, you would
Mhm.
just click on the screen to move to different zones, which would have just like a 2D art of that zone and then like a character portrait in the zone and you talk to them. And then, yeah, that thing.
That thing.
I
This
stepped
thing.
on it and broke it. So
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
mine's in pristine condition. Check this out, guys.
never used.
That was your game. That was your game cartridge.
That's
Yes,
a
that is
movie, but
that is the movie of Serenity. Yep, that's my copy of Serenity. But yeah,
but
that's how you played a game.
yeah, and I was hooked. The actual dungeon diving part was
Uh-huh.
3D. That was the only part that was 3D, but they put everything else as like 2D pictures and dialogue boxes, and it was still fantastic.
Yeah.
Because that game
Yeah.
is basically a visual novel outside
It's a visual
of the
novel.
dungeons.
And in the dungeons, the dungeons are actually graphically not huge. It's all about the gameplay, and the story.
Yeah.
The story is so it's Persona is the example that you do not need high def graphics and huge cutscenes and motion capture and all that expensive stuff.
Make good characters, make a good game. Like
Make great characters, make a great game, and voice one line, the first sentence.
yeah. Oh god.
Everything was a voice. Was it voiced on PSP? Because all other games you had the first sentence of whatever they said, or
Yeah,
maybe the
no.
first two words would
Yeah,
be voiced and nothing else.
A lot of the supplemental dialogue is all just reading. What they have always like some part of the dialogue that they went back and like took from a different conversation. Be like, oh yeah, and then they would go over like the dialogue, and that's not even in the dialogue.
Right.
But a lot of the game is voice acted. A lot of the main important story.
Because in the Persona desktop, or the actual Persona non-portable games, it was always you'd get like one or two words. Like they'd go, that's interesting. And then the rest of the sentence you'd have to read.
They've always been voice acted for the like story beats though.
Right.
Story
True.
conversations.
True.
It's just all the side stuff is generally not voice acted. Hey,
Mhm.
bitters. But no, just going back because when I played it on the PS4, I got pretty far in. Got I think pretty close to the end, probably 3/4 of the way through, and I realized I had locked myself out of one of the social links, which is like one of the character stories.
DC Ray says a pristine PSP unlicked by Jessica Chobot, so Edie can ignore her Mass Effect envy. Yes, I will always have envy over that bitch who got in that game. Who the fuck did she sleep with to get in that game? And who do I have to sleep with to get her out of it?
They go back and just remaster the Legendary Edition and put you in there, Edie.
I don't even need to be in there. I just need her out.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Doesn't she get punched? Like, isn't that an option though?
I
Like-
can't remember.
Like, as
can't
the
remember.
renegade option, she like approaches you as a news reporter, and like if you just You can sock her.
I was not a renegade, but I'm gonna go back right now and play that whole freaking game again just so I can punch Jennifer Chauvat.
And then I think afterwards, on 3, you meet her again, and you can try to take a punch. She dodges, and then you can punch her again. So like she dodges the first one, and then you go in for like a
punch her
left hook.
Twice?
Yes.
How did I not? How am I learning this now?
I think so. There is a reporter you can punch for sure. Yeah, Bitters.
Yeah, Bitters says I punched her. Thank you. Thank you. I will take your punch. I will live vicariously through your punch of Jessica Chauvat.
Edie's just gonna have on her background from now on in her phone of just her getting punched and like it repeating on a loop.
Okay, to-do list. What was I got? My to-do list today to make that and just put it on a loop on the background of my computer all day.
Upload 10-hour video for just getting punched on the GameHounds.
Don't freaking tempt me because that sounds awesome, and I just might do that. Having 10 and like just put it on YouTube. 10 hours of Jessica Chauvat being punched.
I'm already derailing this, but back to Persona. In the game, you can talk to like NPCs and different characters in the game, and you raise their social link, which is basically going through the story. And one of them is a politician, and I didn't finish his before he timed out because he had to go like actually campaign.
Is this in Persona 3 or Persona 5?
Persona 5.
Okay.
And immediately after that, I was like, well, I fucked up. There goes a 200-hour playthrough or whatever I was on. I think 120 hours. And then I never went back to it. So I'm back on Persona 5 Royal.
How far are you in now?
Not terribly far. I just got past the second like main boss.
Okay. Are you planning on going back? Because you refunded Dragon's Dogma. Are you planning on going back?
I want to, for sure. One of the issues is like performance was really spotty. At least that's what was being reported on PC. And I figured I'd let them like hammer out some of those details before I get back to it.
Right. That makes sense.
But it's on my list for sure. Like,
yeah, I have got to do Dragon's Dogma. I still have yet to finish Baldur's Gate 3. I have yet to finish Baldur's Gate 3. I only got maybe an hour and a half into by the way, if you didn't watch the Baldur's Gate stream last week, I highly recommend you go to Twitch and you watch the first 7 minutes of that stream because it defies logic. It possibly the greatest 7 minutes of my life as far as gaming is concerned.
Yeah, I've been playing Baldur's Gate 3. At least I played it briefly. By briefly, I mean I'm 30 hours in, and I am still in the first act.
Yeah, you should be.
I was clearing out the main goblin camp in the first act, and I fell off and I haven't got back.
Hey, if you ever want to go back to that and have me come in as a character, I absolutely will do that.
Just make the GameHounds.
It tends to actually go much faster when you have 2 people. And also, sure. It's just so nice to actually, it feels like, as Nick described it, the best D&D game. It is a really, really, really good D&D campaign with a fantastic DM. And if you actually have your friends playing it together, it really, really feels like a D&D game.
I just want to point out, AC Wraith gets me. I can't click on anything because I'm not signed into StreamYards. That's it. That's the word.
Oh, yeah. He says that happened to me in Tokyo Xanadu. I didn't manage to get all the characters I wanted. Then I stopped playing.
It just ruins it, man. Like, and you can't even get all the social links in Persona on the first playthrough. You have to play through a second time.
Right.
And nope.
Yeah. Thank you for the link. There's that. You don't have to watch the whole thing, but the first 7 minutes. But I had stuff going. I had a turkey in the oven. The story of the turkeys. I have to give you a turkey update. We have sold some of them.
Nice. Oh, you sold them?
I sold. Of course, I sold them.
I'm surprised you could sell them for money.
Oh yes.
You'd be on the corner like a lemonade stand, just here. Come get a full turkey.
I sold one for $75.
All right, nice.
And I sold another few for I think I've sold 3 for $30. So I'm already.
I mean, you got your money back. You're in the black.
I got my money. Well, I didn't pay for the turkeys, but I'm doing okay. And I still got a bunch. And I made one last week. Fucking, oh my god, so good, so good.
Anyway. Edie about to start her turkey empire. Like, watch for it on Hulu.
Yeah. Actually, what's about to start actually maybe tonight is the turkey soup empire, because I have so much turkey left over, and it's been a week, and I've got to do something with it. So it makes it. But anyway,
Baldur's Gate 3. Good.
Baldur's Gate 3. I didn't get it only fruit because the turkey was coming out of the oven, so it's like, it's as far as I'm going to go. I'll have to get it to you later. So I'm hopefully going to get to it tonight. I will finally finish Baldur's Gate. But here's the thing. I've got to get through Baldur's Gate. I kind of want to do a second playthrough as a Dark Urge.
Yeah.
I kind of want to do that.
Character.
Yeah.
And they're updating the game so that the Dark Urge's evil storyline is going to get better, like more fulfilling endings.
I know. Oh, I know. And then I got to do Dragon's Dogma, which is not a small game.
No.
And I have to get this done before I'm guessing October. Because Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is coming out, and I'm gonna take a couple weeks off work. I'm just gonna get it, and like I'm gonna put the phone on auto answer. I am going to go to Costco. I'm going to load up the freezer and the refrigerator with food. I'm gonna lock my door. I'm gonna get dog sitters for my dogs, and I'm just going to go full college student, just blasting through that thing. I cannot wait. I
never actually played the first one. I mean, I played it briefly, but like I didn't get super far into it. I don't think I got to the part where the town is attacked.
The town was attacked like in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, I know. Like that's my point. I don't think I went back to it. I think it was or either that or it was a demo or something. I remember playing it, but not getting very far.
Oh wow, yeah.
And Baldur's Gate, I keep telling everyone this, and it's true. I need to beat it first on my own. Mm-hmm. I need to be able to go back and forth and like touch every corner of the map before I'll feel comfortable hopping in with people. Because just like with the Persona thing, if I miss something the first time through, I'm going to be like, well, now I never want to play the game.
Well, the thing is, if you play with somebody who's already played it, that person will know where all the nooks and crannies are. Like me, I know where all the nooks and crannies are because I played every fucking nook and cranny, with the exception of romance options.
That's a little bit of the problem. Like, I want to be able to like go out and explore. I'm being very like OCD about it. Like, I want everything to feel organic. And if you have somebody walking you to each shiny point, that's not really organic.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Those are my own hangups, though. Like, don't.
Yeah, and I completely understand the hangups. I mean, this is the person that held the grudge against Ryan and wouldn't be in the same room with him because he took and finished a side quest in
exactly.
in what was it, Borderlands 2. So I feel you.
Yeah,
that led to a 20-year grudge.
But however long it takes me, it's probably going to be like Elden Ring, which I just finished for the first time. I finally beat Elden Ring.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I got like 90% of the way through it, and then I fell off. And I went back recently, played for like 15 hours, went and killed Melania, and then finished the game. So that's done. Yeah.
Dragon's Dogma 2 is like 30 hours, supposedly, not awful. Yeah, that's 30 normal people hours.
Yeah, not when you're going back and forth, trying not to miss every single thing and checking every corner of every like part of the map.
That's like 30 non-Edie and Andrew hours. We play all of it, and very slowly.
Speaking of Elden Ring, it took me 120 hours to beat my first character, whereas like that game's supposed to be finished in like 60. So yeah.
Really, your first character?
Yes.
Oh wow. And we wonder why our catalog is so bad, right?
A little bit.
Yeah, and going through Baldur's Gate 3 with Nick in our playthrough, he's just blasting through. Like, he's like, oh yeah, we're just going to murder everybody. We're just going to be evil and we're going to murder everyone. It's like, well, we murder all the good guys. It's amazing how quickly that game goes.
It's
like,
amazing
all the druids,
if you just burn everything down. Right. How fast
all the druids just vaporize. Halsin's dead.
Wow.
Yeah. Karlach is gone.
Okay, guys, that's the end of GameHounds. Like, we've been canceled. You can't just kill Karlach. Like,
I agree.
She is best girl.
She wasn't killed. She just left. She's like, oh, I can't do it. I can't hang with you.
Apparently, you can decapitate her. Spoilers.
Oh God! See, damn it! I'm going to be playing Baldur's Gate 3 into my retirement. I'm going to be like, load me up and hand the controller to me. I need to finish it one more time. I didn't get the last romance option.
Yeah.
So what was I going to ask you? I was going to ask you something about Persona. So yeah, you're going through Persona. Yeah. Oh, Kingdom Come Deliverance. Yeah, you kind of sort of. Kingdom Come Deliverance is was the only game ever, and I'm a crier. I cry at like Super Bowl commercials.
Super Bowl commercials.
Super Bowl. Yeah, stupid ball. Super Bowl commercials, like those really touching ones. Like the usually it's the Budweiser commercial with the Clydesdales. Every single time it gets me, and it's like, this year I'm not gonna cry at the Budweiser commercial. And then they bring out the the Dalmatian puppy, and it's like, oh, I can't take it. But the only game that ever made me cry, I take it back. 2 games that made me cry. Mass Effect 1, when I had to choose between Ashley and Caden.
That was a hard choice.
That was a very hard choice. I chose Caden. Come on.
You're objectively wrong, but I won't get hung up on that.
Oh, no, Caden.
The human racist was the best.
No, Caden was just like a damaged man, and it's like, I can
fix him.
I'm gonna fix you with my love, and I did, many times. That was the first one where I don't know if I cried. I cried. I mean, I might have teared up, but the only game that made me have to stop and bawl and recover emotionally was Kingdom Come Deliverance. There are some things in it that just, because the way that game is structured, Henry, the storytelling, and it's not just the story, it's the storytelling. I had recommended it to somebody recently, and he was playing through it, and he was streaming it. Because I was like, oh man, it's been so long. So I went back in it, and it's like, oh look, it's all over. And it's like I could feel that same kind of love for the game bubbling back up again. And because now I'm seeing it after knowing what's going to happen and watching it objectively, I started to see not just the story, especially the opening story of the town being destroyed.
Yeah.
But watch the techniques that they used in order to make that event hit hard.
Yeah.
And I watched it again. I'm like, oh God, they did what they, for example, it's not a spoiler. When Henry's father gets killed, in the middle of this war, it's all crazy. It's loud. People are yelling. There's bells ringing. There's people running and screaming. And he looks down, and he sees his father fighting for his life, and it's all kind of course, slow motion, but the sound just becomes muted. They just mute that sound just so it's they essentially muzzle it.
Yeah.
So it's just muzzly, and you don't really notice it, but it simulates the sound of the feeling of blood running through your ears, because it's so smart and it's so good. And I just, oh man, it makes me want to go play it again, and I can't because I've got to finish Baldur's Gate.
That's solid use of just cinematography. That's whenever that gets brought into a game and done well, there's nothing quite like it.
It's right. It's not the storyline. It's the narrative design. It's just pure. Essentially, it's emotional manipulation, but it works.
All movies are, to be fair.
True. And all good games should be if they're not.
Exactly.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, that's the only game that you really. I mean, I know you've got a bunch of stuff, but you really should go back to Kingdom Come Deliverance.
I know. Oh, dude, I know.
Especially with 2 coming out, because I have a feeling that 2 is gonna ruin me. Like I might need therapy.
Assuming it's as good. Knock on wood.
AC Ray says, I took Caden and I killed Caden and took the drunk girl. Everybody killed Caden but me. Golly! It's not the heat, it's the humidity.
He's a fellow Midwesterner. He gets it.
No, he isn't. He's East Coast. Oh, he's Boston, dude. He doesn't get any more East Coast than that. Fair. Hey, Gully, you want to join? You feel like coming in for a second? I miss you. I miss you.
Just trying to stretch this show.
It's the everybody but Nick show. But fan weather, exactly. So he's gonna come. Yay, Gully's coming. This is so great. Hold on a second. Let me get it to him.
Yeah, no, it kind of sucks because there's a lot of new games that look fun and I want to play. Like, I'm still sad about Star Wars Jedi, the last one.
Mm-hmm. Was it The Force Unleashed?
No, that's Edie.
That's the movie. It's the second time I've done that twice. I was
Force Unleashed came out in like 2010.
I know. I was having this conversation last night, and it was like there's been so many that I get them.
Jedi Survivor.
That's it.
Okay. Yeah. Updates for that game has mostly finished as far as like performance passes, and it still kind of runs like ass on the computer.
Really?
Like it runs. I'm sure for a lot of people it will run fine. Like they'll be happy with it. But there's no reason for it to run as bad as it does.
Not at this stage. Not even remotely.
But I never got that one. There's just a lot of games like that I'm missing out on.
Yeah, but those games, it's not necessarily a bad thing that you're missing out on them.
I know. And like I said, it's giving me a chance to go back into my catalog.
Yeah.
I do want to bring up a game that I think if you enjoy roguelikes or over-the-top action, like not over-the-top, but like isometric view action games, there's a game called Raven's Watch. It's still in early access, but like the next one... Like,
I have seen that. It really is it good?
I find it fun.
Okay.
For, I think it's $20. It's a good time, especially if you have friends. And you play as... essentially like mythical Brothers Grimm's characters, Beowulf, there's Sun Wukong in it, and basically mythological figures, storybook characters.
That's kind of cool.
You kind of run around a map trying to complete objectives and gain like a currency called shards in it, and you level up your abilities. You spend the money to buy like magic items and stuff to level up your character, and you'll jump between worlds after you finish each chapter, and it gets progressively harder, and it's a 4-player co-op. Hey, Goalie,
we miss you, baby. How are you?
Come and save the show again. Holy cow!
You too.
Yeah.
At least you got that Nick guy off of here.
I know. What an asshole! He abandoned me. Left me to the wolves.
She had to dig deep and find me at the bottom of the barrel.
It was either you guys or it was going to be Commander Tim.
Oh. Although, as I get older in life, I can relate more to Tim than anybody right now. This is ridiculous.
What's going on with you, dude? You've been like, what? You've got a bad foot?
I've had more x-rays. I'm probably more radioactive than Godzilla right now. I've had so many x-rays. Yeah.
Is it the foot, the knee?
Well, we've both been sick for like months. And so they finally took x-rays of my chest and they're like, no, chest is clear. Then why am I coughing 24 hours a day? Don't know, but you don't have COVID, you don't have the flu, you don't have pneumonia. And so that was that. And then my shoulder, I can't lift my shoulders anymore. and I think it's from playing hockey. So they're like, "Yep, your left shoulder, and you need a shoulder replacement surgery." And I'm like, "Oh man!"
no.
And then at some point we'll need to do the other one. So I'm just like, "Well, as long as I don't lift my arms over my head, I'm fine." So as long as I can avoid that.
Bone? Is it the bone or actually is it the shoulder surgery I had to have?
I don't know. It's bone on bone.
Okay, so mine was rotator cuff.
Yeah,
so
this ain't rotator cuff, but the outside of my arm is killing me 24 hours a day. And so I'm going for therapy before I have the surgery. And then they said, maybe we'll give you a cortisone shot to get you through a few months. I'm like, well, I figure if I do this, I'm done, like probably going to play hockey and going to the gym because I won't be able to do much with it. Because by the time I'm done recovering, I'm going to be really old.
Right.
So I want to hold off for a while. So there was that. And then, yeah, they had to x-ray my foot because I refereed some hockey games and I think they thought my skate was too tight or maybe I broke a bone. So they x-rayed my foot. Still haven't gotten back to me on the x-ray yet. So, but it did say there was no gout and no break. So that was good. So what did I hurt? Why was my foot so bad that I couldn't put my shoe on, So I've had, so it's been both shoulders, my chest and my foot. There's not much left to x-ray, and I've had 5 colonoscopies. So I've had 5 cameras up my ass. So I know what's going on up there. Fun times being an adult.
Do you ever get the feeling that maybe your proctologist is doing it for fun at this point?
I'm kind of wondering
at some point it goes from being medical to sexual assault.
That's what I'm wondering. I feel like I'm like the coyote and the dog checking. Hi, Frank. Hi, Dave. Come on in, another colonoscopy. Roll over. I got it. Linda, how you been? I haven't seen you in a week. Well, looking good, Dave. Boy, your ass looks good. You've been going to the gym. Yeah, I've been walking. Oh, fun times. But the wife retired. She retired a month ago.
Yes, I know. Yeah. Sharon actually retired. Mrs. Goley.
She's sick as a dog right now, too. So she's back on medication. She can't stop coughing. It's just like I have it for 6 weeks and she has it for 6 weeks. So it's like, oh man, the two of us just
really
fighting all the sickness over here. Yeah. And so hopefully once the summer comes and we open the windows up, things will be better, but we'll see. She was doing good. She was like going to the gym like every day. I'm so proud of her. But she's going in for heart surgery in June. She needs a valve replaced. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So she found out that a couple months ago. She's like, well, let me retire so I can have a couple of months to do what I want to do before I go for the surgery. So, but her brother already had that done a couple years ago. So it kind of runs in the family. So, So we're hoping it goes well. And when she's done recovering, then we can maybe do some traveling in the fall or whatever. So
remember that Stone song about what a drag it is? It's getting old.
Oh my gosh,
man! Never true word spoken. Holy shit!
I remember my grandfather one time telling me, he goes, "Old age is not for wimps." And he had a lot wrong with him. He had a lot of stomach issues and a lot of surgery. And you're talking 70s surgery and 80s surgery, which is a lot different than surgery.
Oh yeah,
now.
They didn't have laparoscopic. They went the little tiny nicks.
Yeah.
Hold this one. When you had surgery, they cut you all the way open so they could look inside and pull everything out and look at it.
And then put it all back and hopefully didn't forget any parts. Yeah.
True, getting old sucks.
Yeah.
So I know, Andrew. Isn't it? You're almost 40. Oh.
I don't remember 40. I don't remember last week.
40 was actually like pretty fun. 40 was fun. Yeah. So, and even early 50s, but about mid 50s, it was like, oh, hey.
50 was cool. Aaron, I'm 50 and I'm still doing this, I'm still doing that. And then all of a sudden, like 52 came. It's like, oh my gosh.
It starts getting fun.
Yay, I love AC Red. Look at that. Mother's Little Helper on YouTube.
Yeah. the best meme I thought, best meme I saw about getting old, there was a picture of a sink, like the faucet. And it goes, me at the toilet. And then the next picture was a garden hose dripping. It's like me as soon as I walk away from the toilet. That's exactly what it is. Okay, I'm all done. You walk away. Oh, come on. That's the thing you notice about getting old.
Plus side, we don't have that problem.
Lucky for you.
We get paid, 70 cents on the dollar, but at least our bathroom floors are dry and clean.
At least your faucet shuts off. Yeah.
So
funny story here. So I still haven't done any video games in a long time. I think the last one I played, I actually played a little bit of Skyrim if you can believe it. I put that
A
in.
lot of people are still playing it. A lot of people still play it.
Yeah, and what's that? It was 2011.
I played it last year.
Yeah,
Or
2011 that come out, right?
Big section, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
11,
a
11,
long,
11.
Yeah,
11,
a long
11.
time ago. And I picked it. So I had it for the 360, as you know.
Mhm.
And then I think that's the one that I got to 200 points. I like, yeah, because I nailed it, right?
Right.
And then I got it for the PS4 and I played it because it was better graphics and that was great. And then I put an Xbox One upstairs. So I put it on the Xbox One. I was playing up there. That's the last time I played it. So I still play it once in a while. And I think the last game on the PS4 I played was what's that futuristic one with the dinosaurs? Eli and the dinosaurs.
The girl with the chaos. Female. Robot dinosaurs.
Oh, Horizon Zero
Horizon,
Dawn.
yeah,
And
Horizon.
then Forbidden West.
So they come out with a new one. Yeah,
Mhm.
Forbidden West. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna play the first one again, just on easy mode, so I can kind of remember how that went, and then I'll get the new one. Right? I didn't get very far playing that again. I know I played for a day or two, and that was it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we haven't turned on anything in a long time. I'm still playing the board game stuff. It's going well. In fact, the other day I went upstairs to go, "Why is your PlayStation on?" Because the orange light was on. She goes, "Oh, I was cleaning and I hit it and I didn't know how to turn it off." And so the orange light's been on for a month because we can't find the controller. So we can't shut it down properly. I'm like, so it's on. It's just sitting there. Like, either I unplug
you don't
it.
have it set to like auto off?
I guess not.
The little plastic bit in the middle of the two long parts, just hold it on the top part and it'll turn off.
Mhm.
I think I did, and then it just kind of turned back on and went blue, and then it went back to orange again. So I'm gonna have to find a control and shut it down properly at some point, but we haven't. But what's was kind of neat is so we've been doing the Digital Today's podcast, and we've been doing my YouTube channel's growing pretty well, and the community's going well, to a point where they have all these gatherings. Different companies have gatherings all over the country, and I was asked to go to Colorado and be the guest speaker at one of these things.
Really?
I was, and this is a big deal for like the community because it's a big gathering and the whole bit. And they asked me to go this year, but I says, well, that's the same week that the wife's getting her heart surgery. So I said, I can't do it this year. But I says, how about next year? And I said, absolutely, we're gonna book you for next year.
Cool.
So so I was like, wow. It's like that's kind of neat.
That's very neat. What's the most recent game you played on Digital Dice?
Oh, the one I'm playing right now, it's and I'm totally addicted to it. It's called Appa Football.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an expensive game to buy. The game's like $40, but if you want to buy a season, they're like, over $100 to buy a season of cards. But you get like 1,500 cards. Okay, it's a big deal. And game takes me 2 to 2.5 hours to play a game.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And because you're going play by play. Okay, I'm going to go a run, do the run, roll the dice. What happens? Okay, now I'm going to do a pass. What happens? It is just like watching football on TV. When you're done the game, you're just like, oh my gosh. I don't know how it does it. I don't know how these games with dice and cards and charts are better than video games.
Yeah.
Because it's all in your mind.
And the thing is that you were not a tabletop gamer until you. No. What was it? You pulled out a Stratomatic, or you bought a Stratomatic at a garage sale or a thrift store?
Yeah, on eBay or something. Yeah.
And all of a sudden you were like, oh wow, I really like this, and then you were just playing more of that than games. And
because I remember I couldn't even play Madden. I couldn't, my fingers weren't working, and it was just frustrating looking at my fingers trying to play Madden. And I found these other games that I could just take my time and just whatever. I mean, and these are all theater of the mind. I mean, if you play Dungeons and Dragons,
right.
It's let's see, I think I link Apple Football, but yeah, no, it's
the Bits Offender is it's apparently it's an HTTPS, it's a HTTP website instead of HTTPS.
APBA. It's either app or APBA. Everyone calls it app. So Stratomatic and app are the two great. They started in like the 50s and the 60s. So they're the grandfathers. And then there's all these other games that come out and whatever. A lot of it's just like single people, mom and pop stuff that comes out. So we have a lot of them on the show. We have a bunch of authors that come on the show. We've had a good time. We're up to episode 233 or something like that. So and this will be
as long as I stay ahead of you, I'm fine.
I think you will.
I think I will. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, we got Fist in the chat room. How you doing?
Oh man, holy cow!
What is it? Everybody's coming in today.
Nice. So yeah, so we've had such a blast.
It's Goalie. Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Goalie was the superstar. We were just his, his backup singers.
I still talk about the GameHounds all the time, and things that we did and talked about in PAX East and stuff. And I want to go to PAX East just to see the board game stuff, because I played D&D when I was a kid, junior high, late 70s, early 80s, and we were played it completely wrong. We didn't know what the heck we were doing, but we had a fun time.
Right.
We had a fun time. And what I'm doing now, it's sports D&D.
Mm-hmm.
That's
really exactly what it is. It's generally speaking the same kind of rule set in its core. It's the same rule set of dice.
What's really fun though is that there's a lot of independent gaming companies and single person gaming companies, and all the time people are like, hey, can I send you my game to check out and play on your channel? And it's like it's nice that people like want to know our opinions, and and they know if they get on our show that they're going to make some money, they're going to have some sales of their product. So it's like, I'm going to give you the game, you play it, show it off, we'll talk about it, we'll interview me, and then we'll so it works out for everyone. We have a good time, they have a good time, and and we get some free games and things like that. And I actually worked on somebody's hockey game on a computer. They did a computer version of their board game. And
was that Out of the Park? That was Out of the Park.
Well, no, that was one I did. That was Franchise Hockey Manager, and I was kind of adding the play-by-play. But this one here was a completely different one. It's called Stone Cold Hockey, and in Stone Cold Hockey, just rolling dice, and you got your team the whole bit. But somebody, they designed it on the computer, and I was like, hey, will you take a look at this game? And I completely changed how the game looked. It says, this is not a hockey game. I go, you need to do this, you need to do that. This needs to be here. This needs to be here. Because the guy had like the stats up, and it was like points and then goals and assists. It's like, it's goals, assists, points. That's how every hockey page is listed, Right. And so I went and I changed the entire stats page. I changed the entire box score. I was like, this doesn't look like a hockey box score. I don't know what this is, but it says it has to look like this. And they were getting mad at me. They're like, dude, we can't keep I go, let me tell you, this is what it's got to be.
Right. Because hockey fans will know. They will absolutely notice this.
It's like, so it's the guy that was doing it, I think it was in Europe. So it's like, I don't know how much of a hockey guy he was. But yeah, so I ended up getting in with him, and we just going back and forth every day, checking things out and this and that. And my buddy Ron, who does digital dice, he was kind of play testing it, which is what we were supposed to do. And I'm in there going, this ain't gonna work. You need to make this look better. So Ron's play testing it, finding the bugs, and I'm changing how everything looks. And when we got done, it was so good how it looked. And they were like, I go, you guys probably hate me, and they're like, yeah, we do, but I said, you made the game so much better.
Right.
And it made me feel good that I was able to help out,
you left your mark. You left your mark in gaming. And ultimately, I mean, we all like to think that we, especially as long as we've been doing this, that somebody would remember. We'd leave a little of our DNA somewhere.
Oh yeah. We got a baseball guy coming on next Wednesday night. And he's been on with us 2 or 3 times now. He's got a pretty cool baseball game. It's on the computer. But you can play any game. You can play your Stratomatic baseball, your app, any baseball game you have on the table. Once you get the play result, you can put it into his game, and then it adjusts. Okay, I get a single. Okay, the guy goes to first base. I got a double guy. Got a double play, and so he's got a game that you can play his game, or you can put in the results from your game if you follow.
Right. So it becomes like a graphical version of what your tabletop game is.
It's a helper. Yeah.
It's a helper.
It's a helper. What's great about it is it keeps all your stats and stuff for you. So at the end of the game, you have all your stats. You have, who struck out, who got a single, what the pitcher's ERA. It does all that for you. It's beautiful. And so he sent us copies of his game, and we were testing it in the whole bit, and we're going back and forth about, what I like, what I don't like. And there was one thing I said, something that says, there's a bunch of other PC games that list what the guy did during the game. So if he got a single in the first inning, it would say, first inning single. And if he struck out in the third, it would say third strikeout. And I says, is there any way you could add that to your game? Because it adds to the immersion of the game. So the guy's coming up to plate. What did he do today? Well, let's take a look. He struck out in the first, he homered it, and he put it in. And now every time I play his game and I see that in the little corner box, what the guy did during the game.
Gives you that little bit of like,
That was me. That was me. And it does. It makes me feel, because I feel it's a better game.
Yeah.
You know, it's always fun. So we've had a real good time over here doing this stuff here. It's so relaxing compared to video games, which can be very tense.
Yeah.
It's more relaxing than anything else.
Maybe that's what happened to Sharon's heart. It's too many video games. It just wrecked it.
Maybe, yeah. Don't get me wrong. We had our fun with
Peggle.
video games.
Peggle. She wrecked her life with Peggle. That's what did it.
Oh yeah, Peggle was good. Either that or the zombies. We played so much zombies, you know.
That's true. We did do a lot of that, didn't we?
That was a good time. I miss the battlefields. I still miss some of that stuff because I had so much fun with those games back in the day. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I was tempted to pick up the new Star Wars that they come out with.
We were just talking about that with Chaos.
They have that on Steam too, so I wouldn't even need the console. I could get it on Steam. But I was reading reviews on it, and it's like people are just kind of hammering the crap out of it. So I'm like, do I want to get it or not? If it's really getting bad reviews, or
Andrew was literally just talking about that.
Do you mean the Battlefield 2, the one that's from the old PlayStation, or do you mean
no, the one that they remade from like Xbox?
Okay, yeah, that one was a disaster. Like, it's good that you did not buy that.
It's too bad because I would play that before I went to work every Tuesday night. Before I went to the rink, I would fire it up like 4:30, 5 o'clock, and I would play the Hoth mission. Yeah. And I would either try to take down the AT-AT or I would get in the AT-AT and walk around in it. But it was just fun playing in the snow, getting on the speeders, just, you know, getting on the turrets. And I would just play that, die 100 times. But I would play that mission to the end and then go to work. That was my Tuesday routine, back, 15, 16, 20 years ago, something like that, whenever that was out. And I love that. And, and I still like even the newer Star Wars, like episode 1, when they had those robots in there and stuff, even those missions were kind of fun, and those areas were kind of fun. I had so much fun with that, so I was like, oh, they made a remake of that, and I could play it on Steam. That'd be great. And then I'm hearing like, yeah, no, you don't want to play it because X, Y, and Z. And so I was like, oh, really?
So I'm not sure how well the single player runs for it. A lot of the complaints are on the multiplayer version. So the game Goalie's talking about is Star Wars Battlefront 2. It's the classic one. Mm-hmm, they remastered it. And to give you an idea of how bad it was, I think like 10,000 people were on at once, and they had a server capacity of 128.
Yeah, I think I heard that was the things that you couldn't get into rooms and there was crashing, and
their server capacity was 128.
Yeah, and it was 64 player matches. So they had two servers, 2 games, like on the multiplayer. That was it.
Was this an EA? This sounds like EA.
It was EA in the past, but it's not. It was made by I forget who remastered it.
The remastering is
Studio.
Not. Oh, Aspire.
Apparently.
Yeah, Aspire. I mean, they just remastered it. That's just the coding. That's not the actual quote unquote administration of the game. And
they had to handle the servers and stuff too.
True. All right, maybe. But yeah, that's like setting it up for failure.
In the promotional material for it, they had a mod that somebody had made who didn't give permission for them to use it. So in the trailer, they're using this mod. But when the game released, they had taken the mod out. So, like, the trailer has something in it that's not from the game and isn't in the game on release.
That's it. That can get you sued. That is almost like illegal. Is illegal. It's called bait and switch.
That's like Planet of the Apes in the Mark Wahlberg Planet of the Apes. In the movie trailer, it was like, "Bring me the spaceman," and that was never in the movie. They cut it out.
They cut it.
That was the best line. Bring me the spaceman. It wasn't in the movie. It's like, oh, you wrecked it.
Hey, speaking of Planet of the Apes, you know what? There's been like these calls to the San Francisco Police Department because they're filming some Planet of the Apes on some of the beaches around here, and so like people are looking over and there's apes on horseback riding down the beach and freaking people out.
Tell them to come clean up the poop in the street from the humans and the horses.
No, they're just on the beach, and it looks beautiful. Don't get me wrong; it looks beautiful.
Just for like accuracy's sake, I went and looked up the Steam charts for Battlefront. Peak count at like the start was 9,232. So this is all at once, and yeah, the 128 players. It was crashing. It was the worst experience imaginable. So you dodged a bullet there.
Yeah, see, that's the thing is that if a game crashes, if you're playing multiplayer and you can't get into a match, that just sours you so bad on a game. How many times have that happened to us? A new game comes out, we're going in and like.
Well, that's to be expected to a certain extent, because no matter how much they try to stress test the servers, and now they do, they've finally gotten smart, is that they have they usually have an either early access or like a like people
invite
that pay
only.
extra money can get it the first 3 days, and it allows that the servers to be kind of stress tested and boiling the frog of the
kind of like John Taffer does. We're gonna have a soft opening.
Soft opening. And so it's still bad, but it's not as bad as it used to be. But also we understand now, we accept it a little bit that, okay, the multiplayer might be a little like, it might not work perfectly, but it's usually understood that they're going to sort that out. They're going to fix that. And when you see a game that has literally no possible way of fixing it because they didn't create the server space, they don't have the server space. Then there's no, it dooms the game.
It's Star Wars, and it's a classic. What did you think was going to happen?
People I wonder what right, in Battlefield, Battlefront was not a bad game. It was actually one of the better ones.
It was like arguably one of the best ones.
Yeah.
It is literally a classic.
And I don't know why they didn't think that people would want to play it again. Like 10,000 people might want to play it all at once.
Yeah.
When they also did like closed reviews for reviewers and stuff, they had managed to like not have them connect online. Like they were playing alone in like multiplayer games, so that they could see the maps and like the details and stuff, but they never actually let them connect to the servers to like see all the issues with bugs and disconnects or how many people can be playing.
So they knew it was coming, but there was nothing they could do.
That's too bad. That Battlefield was great. There was a game of Battlefield I played. I don't know if it was 2 or 4. I remember I get up one Saturday morning early because I was addicted to this game. So I'm going to play before I go to the rink, right? And so I get up and I'm playing this, and I had the match of my life. And I got into it was the island map, but I got into this boat with all these dudes, and we just went around and we shot the crap out of everybody, and planes and helicopters, and they couldn't get us. And I was number 1 on the leaderboard. I'd never been number 1. I'm number 1 on the leaderboard, and I'm driving this boat around, and they didn't kill us at all. And I'm looking at the clock. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be late. And I'm the guy that's got to get there and set up at the rink. I'm the guy that runs the damn thing. It's like, but I'm having the match of my life. I'm going to finish it first. It's like, I can't stop now. And like the game went on, and I was like, man, I thought it was going to be a 10, 15-minute game. It turned into like a half-hour game.
And worth every second.
I was number 1 on the leaderboard. I think I might have tried to take a picture with my phone or something like that back in the day because I was number 1. It was the best game of my life. Of course, I was late getting in, flying down the highway. But, oh, my gosh, that game was just – you would get up early to play that game. That's how much fun it was.
Yeah, it was a fun game. And inevitably, it was one of those games that was – you couldn't help but hit play next game. You just did that.
At one after another. Now I want to try the Skyrim board game because a lot of people have been playing that. I'm like, well, how is that? And some people love it and some people hate it. So I'm like, I haven't get into too many adventure games. I'm doing the sports games because some of these games, it's like you're rolling out a blanket for a picnic and it's just like, and you're like, oh my gosh, there's thousands of pieces here. What do I got to do? I don't have all the space for that. But the Skyrim one looked interesting because it did have fetch quests and main quests and the whole bit. I just don't know how it translated. But again, some people love it probably because it's Skyrim, and other people like, well, as far as the board game goes, it's not that good. So, but I would like to try it someday.
Well, you said you want to go to PAX East.
Yeah.
Do you think you want to go next year?
I might. I might want to go next year. Yeah.
And I was just saying to Nick that we should go out to see you. So that just gives me a reason to go out to see you.
I'd like to go. In fact, I think I already told the story.
Now I have a joke that not joke. Now I have a job that if I get snowed in like I did last time and stuck in your basement for 2 days, that I can actually afford to do that.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God! Forget Your Life is in here. Wow, look at it's like the old guard
Nice.
all came back. Battlefield 1943 had tons of online players, made money, and they never fixed it. They just took it down. Agreed.
Oh.
Battlefield 1943 is the best Battlefield ever, and Nick will argue with me that Battlefield Bad Company 2 was better. I think Battlefield 1943 was the best game, and they just left it money on the table. They just it didn't work, and we loved it for that. It was so janky, and it was gloriously janky. I don't know how they made such a bad game, but made it bad good, but they did, and we loved it. So yeah, I will always be heartbroken that they never made another Battlefield 1943. But where was it? Was it Battlefield? Which one of the Battlefields they actually created? No, I think it is actually the I can't remember which one. They actually had Wake Island as one of the maps, which was the Battlefield 1943 map. And it was like their little tip of the hat, like, hey, everybody, remember 1943? Remember we didn't make that thing you really loved again? Well, here's the map. It's like it was almost like a knife, sort of. I'm sure they were trying to be nice, but it felt like a knife in the ribs.
Yeah, I need to get back to PAX. There's a guy that created a couple of computer games and a baseball game that I've been playing, and we got talking. We had him on the show, and he goes, "Yeah," he goes, "I had a booth at PAX East one year," and I was like, "Wait." I says, I stumbled on a football board game at PAX East one year that I wasn't even going to give a second look because I'm video games. And while I was watching him play, someone goes, "Oh, if you go to our Facebook page, you can get a code for last year's baseball and football game for free." And the game was Baseball Mogul and Football Mogul. So I was like, "Oh, so cool." So I went to their Facebook page, I got the code, and I put it in. And that's the guy we had on the show. And I had met him at PAX years ago, and we kind of didn't, because you see so many people at PAX, but it was his booth and his game, and it's like, you gave me the code, and that's what started me on my journey playing some of these sports simulation games. Was his game. It just,
Did you interview him for the show? Because we could go back and find the file. I can go back and find the file.
I don't know what PAX it was. It might have been 14.
Okay.
2014. I don't know when you started coming out east, because I started doing the show in like 2010, I think it was. So I'm not sure which PAX East it was. Might have been 13.
Because we were there the first year, and then
you're right.
Right, and that was the one that was downtown.
Yeah, that was at the Hancock Building, something like that.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, and then they moved us out to the convention center.
I think this was the first one, if I'm not mistaken.
Really, the one that was downtown.
I think it was. Yep, I think it was the one downtown. The Prue, at the bottom of the Prudential Building, I think.
Right,
it was.
Prudential Building.
Yeah. And so yeah, I just stumbled on his area, and then I'm like, well, I'm not interested in this board game stuff. I'm a video game guy, but he's I have some video games too. And so so then we come full circle, and we've had him on the show. And
if you've interviewed him, I'll find it.
I don't know if we were doing interviews back then though. That's the thing, is I don't know when that first PAX East, if we were writing things down, or if we were recording, because I don't know what we had for recording stuff back then. But that would be
something.
That's what I'm thinking too. And I don't know if I interviewed the guy or not. That's the thing that I don't really remember, but it'd be crazy funny to see if we had that.
Okay.
Okay.
That's yours.
That's my
I'll
show,
see if I can see if I can find it. I'll see if I can find it.
It's Football Mogul, Baseball Mogul was the name of his games. And he's still going strong, which is good to see, because he was from Connecticut, so he come up here from Connecticut. That's how we got talking. It's like he's like, yeah, I was at PAX East, so I want to get out there and do that. Would be interesting to see the changes that PAX East has made, because I don't know how many of the major players go there anymore.
It's still pretty big, but COVID didn't hurt it, didn't help it. Yeah. It's still very big. It's still very big. But even PAX West is not as big as it used to be. It's still big, but it's not as well attended. It's never quite recovered after COVID. How is this year? Nick and I are going this year for the first time in 4 years? We were there every single year. I mean, for a while it was PAX East and PAX West, and we were considering doing PAX South.
Yeah. How is the VR stuff doing nowadays?
Much better.
Is it? Yeah. I remember everyone was trying to come up with the VR stuff.
Did you get an Oculus, Andrew?
I got the Index.
You got the Index. All right. And Nick has a PSVR, and was when I went to Bali for a month, he did nothing but streaming, and he streamed VR games.
Huh.
If you want to get something in VR, I recommend probably the Meta Quest 3. I know it has the whole Facebook issues, but it is the one that is probably dumping the most into first-party exclusives for VR. You'd probably get the most out of that. Not to mention it's wireless, so that helps. It's also a really good headset.
VR made me sick. There was only the only thing I could do in VR.
I came across video of you. In fact, I think I should see if I can find it. I came across video in my phone of you playing VR for the first time with the Oculus when they were showing the Oculus at PAX.
Yeah, I lasted 2 seconds.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily recommend buying one, especially if that's how you feel, but they have done a lot to mitigate those feelings of motion sickness.
Yeah. My friend had one, and I went over his house, and he had one that you were sitting in a room and you were just looking around. I think you were like in the ocean or something. You were just looking around at like this cave you were in. And I was fine with that because I could just look around.
Because you were not moving.
There was no other access going on. That was just sitting there. And there was also a game, it was like a tennis game where a ball would come at you and you would like slam it with your headset and send it back. And then you could, and I was doing that okay. But anytime I have to really kind of, when I put on the Oculus there and I'm looking around, I was like, oh, this is kind of neat. And then I went up in the air, and so I'm going up and I'm looking around, and I didn't even make it. I didn't even make it up.
That'll do you. I was playing a game called The Walking Dead: Saints and Sinners, and I was doing fine. I'm generally pretty good. If I play for a couple hours, I start to get a bit nauseous. But the moment I tried to climb up a pipe, which required looking up and like lifting one hand and then pulling yourself up, it nearly floored me. Like that vertical motion is what did me in.
Yeah.
There are ways to mitigate this, like having a fan on you while you're playing will help so that you don't feel like you're not moving as much. Stuff like that. But
I think that was probably the beginning of the end for video games was that, because that's when I realized it was going in a direction that wasn't for me, and just things were just going away from me. So I enjoyed some of the games I played, but things got complicated. Things made me physically sick, and I was just like, yeah, I think it's time to go play something else. Although, do you know what just come out? Oh, it's a puzzle game. Damn it! Now I got to open Steam.
Well, that narrows it down. Thanks.
It was on the PlayStation. And it had a picture of the guy petting a cat on the front of it. Talos Principle. It just come out with Talos Principle 2 on Steam. And I'm going to wait for that. I want to get that because I finished Talos Principle 1, the whole thing. And I just got it. That game I got. And there's some people that didn't get. I got that game. And there was one puzzle that I remember took me an hour and a half to 2 hours to solve.
Really?
But I solved that sucker though. I did, And this is one of those games. It's just, you would have this. It was like a tripod, and a laser beam would come in, and you take the tripod and you would reflect the beam to another area, and it would open up a door, and you would go through that door and get another tripod and then reflect another beam. But it just seemed like you were one tripod short of solving the puzzle. So you had to figure out a way to, open the door and then get the tripod into the door, and then keep that door open, and then shoot the laser beam through this window to keep this door open. And it was just you were just almost like the Portal, very similar to Portal, where you're looking around like, hey, how am I going to solve this? Where do I got to put the beams? What doors do I have to open up to get there? How am I going to do this? Because there was very little bit of, trying to jump and run. There was very little of that. Occasionally you did have to kind of try to get past a robot, but for the most part, it really was just a thinking person's game. It wasn't so much dexterity that you needed to get done, like a Tomb Raider or something when I couldn't make the first jump in the game for a half hour. That was fun.
Right.
That was the other step in the wrong direction for me.
Yeah.
2's apparently really good too. Like it's better than 1. So if you're looking to get that, understand that that's a solid choice. I
enjoyed the heck out of the Talos Principle. I did. So I'll have to see when it goes on sale on Steam and if it is or not, and grab it and try to play it, because I still like my puzzle games. I really do. That one was a challenging one.
Fun fact about that game in particular, it's made by the same people who made Serious Sam. I don't know if you know what that game
I
is.
remember Serious Sam.
That was great.
Have you seen the Doug of making Chat GPT AI play Serious Sam?
Oh no!
So good, so fucking funny. He has to keep killing Sams because they keep getting weirder and weirder.
Oh,
and
really?
It's like, okay, now he's too weird. We have to kill this one and start over. So funny.
Is that the
So
one
funny.
the guys running at you that were holding the bombs above their head?
No. Serious Sam was the one where it was a point and click adventure where he had to defeat darkness. Right?
What was the game?
I'm not sure. It's Serious Sam is a first person shooter.
That's not Serious Sam, or Goalie is right. Well, then what was the Sam?
Yeah, Serious Sam is the one that all the crazy stuff was coming at you, and you did a lot of strafing, a lot of running backwards and strafing because the things were coming at you. That was Serious Sam. Yeah.
And what was the Sam that I was thinking of? I thought it was a Serious Sam, but I could be wrong. It could be also a Serious Sam. I don't know.
Shotguns blowing up stuff.
They went from a goofy first-person shooter.
Oh yeah, here's the guy right here. Yeah. Principle. Serious Sam VR. Mm-hmm. Okay, the Last Hope review is a picture here, and there's a guy coming at you. He's got 2 bombs in his hand, and he's like running at you, screaming at you, and you're trying to shoot him. Yeah, Serious Sam. There was a couple of them, but a lot of strafing, just a lot of running backwards and curling around, and just kind of having the people follow you in an S pattern while you try to shoot them.
Pajama Sam was what I was thinking of, not Serious
Sam.
Pajama Sam was something different.
Oh.
By the way, I have a little gift for you, Goalie.
Oh, okay.
Just to prove that it's all still there. The internet remembers.
This was great. I love this.
Hey, this is Holy Goalie here at PAX East in Boston, and one of the greatest things about being at PAX East is the security. Security's everywhere, and I got one of the security guys here. Now tell me something. Have you seen any rebel scum since you've been here? How about droids? You guys are always looking for droids. Have you found the droid you were looking for?
Oh, that's a person.
Wrong question. Hey, look, it's Darth Vader. We gotta go.
That's still a classic. That is. I've seen that a few times over the years.
Oh, those were good times. Such good times. Such weird times too.
Oh,
God,
man.
that was PAX. What year was that? That was PAX. Go back.
What year was that?
That was 13 years ago.
Oh man.
Yeah. So I don't know what PAX is because it just says PAX East. But yeah, it was says 13 years ago.
That that was a that
2011. April 2nd. That was before 9/11, dude. That was April 2nd, 2011.
Oh,
that occurred before when that was recorded. The Twin Towers were still existed.
Whoa.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
That kid played along. I talked to him before that. I says, hey, just play along with it. And he spot nailed it. I was like, awesome that he did that. There was another guy, I don't know if it was that year or another year, that had a North Korean soldier outfit.
I don't remember seeing that
and
one.
I was going to do a skit with him, but I was legitimately scared that if somebody saw it.
You're right. It was 2001. I'm a decade off. You're right, Pissed. 2001 was 9/11.
Yeah. I was legitimately scared that if I did a skit with a North Korean
Thank you, Chris.
soldier,
yes, 9/11 was 2001. Sorry.
It's all right. We were close. When you get old, this happens.
Anyway, you're saying.
Yeah, no, there was a kid with a North Korean soldier outfit on, and I was going to do the same thing with him, and I legitimately second thoughted that, and I was like, man, if anybody from North Korea actually sees me interviewing and having fun with it, and they take it seriously and they come after me. So I didn't do it with that kid there because I was legitimately concerned.
I mean, you never know. And sometimes it's just not worth making the joke. It's just not.
Yeah, I know. Speaking of 9/11, something come up on my YouTube feed the other day. It was about a guy that survived one of the buildings. And it was an interesting story how he was on the top floor of one of the buildings. And I think it was the one that was hit second. Mm-hmm. And so the first building got hit and all the lights were flickering. So they're like, okay, you got to leave. And he's like, oh man, I'm on the 105th floor. And like, yeah, you got to take the stairs. He's like, 105 flights of stairs. Are you kidding me? So he got down to like the 85th floor. And some lady goes, come on in the elevator. And he goes, something said, don't get in the elevator. And so he does, no, I'm going to continue to take the stairs. And he continued to take the stairs down. That's when the other plane hit. And he went by the floor, again, according to the story, and he saw like the plane parts in the building and all the smoke and bellowing and everything. And he just kept on going down and down. And eventually the fire department was passing him and the whole bit. And he get down to the ground floor and they wouldn't let him out the front door because it was just raining down like metal and concrete and stuff. And he's like, what do we do? So they went even further down. And then I guess underneath those buildings, there was like a little complex or something. And so they went, someone says, hey, if we go over here, we'll be as far away from those buildings as possible. So they followed this one guy all the way out underneath the buildings to the final exit. And they were like a couple blocks away. And they come out and the police were like, run, just go that way. And they all just started running. But he went down 105 flights of stairs and then down to the bottom, get out and then continued to run. And then when they collapsed, he ducked into a building bed. It was like, what a story it was. It was like, oh my gosh. You know, there were people that survived that, but still it's like, oh man, just can't picture that, you know? Just can't picture looking up at all that, just having to come crashing down.
Yeah, you know? There's a lot of things that happened on that day, and as a newspaper reporter, that was particularly scary that day because I'd heard about it and was called into work, and we didn't know how, and we knew that other planes were coming down. And
I was 9.
Yeah, you were 9. I was
at work, and I remember I went to get some lunch, and I had the sports radio on, and they're like, "Oh, a plane hit the World Trade Center." At the time, I didn't know what the World Trade Center was. I don't know anything about New York, you know, so I didn't know what it was. And I remember the sports guy going, "Oh, geez, some Yahoo with a little plane crash into it, you know, was probably drunk." And he was like making fun of the whole thing, you know, some idiot. And then I got to the Chinese place to pick up my lunch, and they had it on. I was like,
China Jade.
No, it wasn't. It was a different town. But I was getting Chinese food, and they had a TV on. And I remember sitting there just like watching it. And then like the other plane hit. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I remember I was like, well, I need to get back to work here because I'm going to be late, you know, on my lunch break. I only got a half hour. But I was like, you know something? I ain't going anywhere. I'm watching this TV. And I watched for the next 15 to 20 minutes or so as it unfolded. Then I get back to work and put it on the radio. And so I remember where I was that day and what was going on. And no one took it seriously at first until the second plane hit. And then you're like, yeah, okay, now we got an issue.
Yeah, I was working for a newspaper here in the Bay Area in San Francisco. Now, remember, we are 3 hours ahead of you. So when those things were hitting at like 9 o'clock in the morning, it was 6 o'clock in the morning here. Mm-hmm. So I'm in bed, I'm asleep, and my phone, did I have a cell phone? Yeah, I had a cell phone. It was like the earliest of cell phones. It was like the flip phone. I had a flip phone, a Nokia. And it goes off at 6 o'clock in the morning or like 6:30 in the morning. And I wake up and it's my boss, Nick. He's a guy from New York named Bob Porterfield. And he's like, and I was known as Edith back then. Edith, get up. That was how we had a Bob Porterfield sound. That's, in fact, my Don Matrick imitation is in part inspired by Bob fucking Porterfield. Man, every other fucking word was fuck. And he was from New York. And Edith, get up. The World Trade Centers, they're gone. I'm like, what do you mean they're gone? He goes, the World Trade Towers, they're gone. Go to the TV. And I turned on the TV and it's like, oh my God. He goes, get the fuck in here. So I'm like, you want me to drive in? Yeah, you got to drive in. Get in here. Get into the newsroom. We are all gone. Everybody's in the newsroom now. We're calling everybody in. So I went in and I woke up Kevin and was like, Kevin, things are happening. There are planes falling out. And when I was explaining what was going and I'm getting dressed, that's when the other planes started falling in, like, you know, like the Pentagon and the plane in Pennsylvania, the failed in Pennsylvania. And that's when it was like, holy shit, it's not just the tower. It's everywhere. And it's obviously big, like important places. Mm-hmm. And I'm in the Bay Area and I'm heading into the city. And I'm like, when I was leaving, I was thinking like, I'm scared to go on the road. And he's like, I'm half about to tell you that you can't go, not letting you go. And it's like, you can't not let me go.
Right.
This is who I am and this is what I do. And he's like, yeah, but I really, it's taking everything I can not to tell you that you can't go or I'll divorce you.
Because nobody knows what's going to happen next.
We had no idea. We had no idea. I was driving into the city and like, I was fully expecting that something would happen, would fall on the Golden Gate Bridge or fall on the Bay Bridge or into downtown San Francisco or the Federal Building or the Mint or whatever. And I'm driving in thinking, am I going to die in this next moment?
Yeah. Yeah.
It was,
everyone was looking around. We were all like, we were right in the heart of it. You know, the weirdest part was when they, the marathon bombing that was out here in Boston many years ago. That was weird because those guys were on the loose. You know, they were tracking him down.
Yes.
And I remember we were ironically at China Jade the night that they were chasing them, and they were locking down city after city after city because they were going to get these guys one way or another. And so they're telling people, stay in your house, don't come out because we're walking through neighborhoods with guns, you know, so stay in your house. And I'm at China Jade. I'm like, man, you know, they were coming north. I'm like, how far north are they coming? You know, so I'm checking my phone about like where they are in the whole bit, and we're sitting there. It's like, should we like go home or, you know, because we don't know what's going on.
Were you watching Twitter? Because I was one of those people listening to the feed and telling people on Twitter what was just said on the last feed, so that people could know if they didn't have access to the feed but did have access to Twitter, where they were, so that they could get out. And I was on our coast doing it because, you know, of course, everybody was locked down over there.
Yeah. That was kind of weird. Then when they finally got him, then they did the unlock. It felt a little bit better, but that was a whole weird. And when they found that the other kid in the guy's boat. Like, gosh.
Yeah.
So but that was kind of weird when they locked down that. Oh man.
Yeah.
So fun times here that we go through.
Yeah. You know, great gaming conversation, huh? Only an hour. And remember I said it was going to be a nice short show. An hour and 21 minutes in, we still haven't even touched the news.
Well, we're catching up. We have a lot of people in the chat room. We have a festival crowd here. You know, we got to catch up on a few things, playing some old funny videos and things like that. So that's what we've been doing.
I got a lot of them, and I got a lot of audio. One of these days I will have, you know, when I'm retired and I have all the time in the world, I am going to make a supercut of some of the most fucking hilarious things that we ever said. Because there is some legendary stuff that went on in the show. And of course, none of it is indexed. So we have to I have to go listen to it individually.
I still when I go to the gym or when I walk and I put on my iPhone, it just plays my iTunes. I still have some clips from my hockey shows and from the GameHounds on there. So that one of them was one of the commercials. It's like, the GameHounds is brought to you by The Stick, the #1 toy, and Ball, and also by The Spring, you know. And so all these little clips I did for the show are on my, and I'm like, what the heck am I listening to this for, you know? But
you know what I still have on my computer right now? I don't know where to find it. Otherwise I'll look at it. I have GameHounds Sanctuary, essentially your auditions.
Oh, I have all those. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, we're gonna take a look at the rock band bass guitar on this one. Yeah. So. Join us in the Sanctuary. That was fun. The Sanctuary was fun. That was a good time. I remember the show we did. I don't know if it's just me and Nick or if all three of us there, but it says I started the show because I would every once in a while I started the show, and I go, "Welcome to the GameHounds, folks. Episode whatever." And in this episode, Nick says "fuck." And he went fuckity fuck fuckity fuck fuckity fuck, and that's how we started the show. And
Did you know the upstart of the?
You were at a job interview and telling them about, I do a podcast, and I was like, oh, let me check out the podcast. Fuckity.
Right, I'm just sitting there, just cringing, like, oh yeah, I'm like, oh yes, I do a podcast, and it's all very professional. And today's brought by the word fuck, and it's like.
Not that one.
I'm like, not that show. Not, as soon as it started, I was like, not that show. And you could see him go, oh, we're definitely doing that show. If I'm going to get that reaction from you, I'm definitely playing that. And I just was like,
oh yeah. There was some things that we just did that. Yeah.
I did not get the job. I did not get that job.
Fuck them. They don't want you. You don't need
it. Was probably better. I would not have been happy there. Ultimately, I would not have.
Take a joke, you know.
So the supercut, we don't even upload episodes. AC Ray, don't poop on my parade. Thank you very much. I don't need anybody spitting in my iced tea. Thank you.
Yeah, where are the shows nowadays?
Fuck you.
No, seriously, because you were on Spreaker, and then you're not on Spreaker anymore, right?
Oh, you don't know
So,
what happened with Spreaker?
Well, they changed your plan.
Yeah, and our plan was going to cost us $1,000 a year. Actually, I take it back. $3,000 a year because we had so many episodes up there.
I think it's costing me like $50 a month.
Right. But because we had this massive backlog, massive channel backlog. So yeah, we were originally, because we were one of the first shows that were on Spreaker, we were grandfathered in.
Mm-hmm.
And they got rid of us. You know, they essentially said, okay, no more. They sold it to iHeartRadio, and iHeartRadio finally came around and said, yeah, we're no longer grandfathering in. I'm like, how many of these shows could you have that are still doing shows, that are still actively doing shows? It can't be more than 2 or 3. And you're just deciding, like, okay, these 3 people, fuck them. It's like, how? It's not costing you anything. Just leave us alone. So that made me angry because it didn't cost them anything to keep us doing what they were doing. We weren't going to pay $1,000, and he had to know that, those 3 people. So they were just essentially booting us off the channel because they didn't want us there anymore. For no reason, no damn good reason, and for any reason whatsoever. So we went back to Libsyn. Okay. And then I'm supposed to download off of here and go to Libsyn, but I've gotten so far behind that it's like, it would be a job just to catch up, but I'm going to do it. I've actually, it's like the last week or so, there's been a number of non-connected things that have been tweaks at me that it's like, oh, if only I had the show up in a podcast form still would be, it'd be better. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm still with Spreaker.
I'm gonna do it. She does all the work for all these years, and then the bulk of the audience misses them. That's the reason I harp on it. She deserves to treat herself better. Oh, gonna make me cry now. Come on.
I'm gonna cry too.
When do you do digital dice? Because you stream it and then it's also available on YouTube. Do you stream just to YouTube, or do you also stream to Twitch?
We do many different ways. Sometimes we just record, and Ron and myself record, or we'll have a guest on, and we'll just record whenever it works for us. Sometimes it's, middle of the day, sometimes it's night, sometimes it's weekends. It's whenever it just works that we both can do it. Because that's one thing, when we started the show, it's like, I don't want to be locked into a certain time and be mad that I got to record a show. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I should be doing this, or I have to cancel going to my uncle's birthday party to do a podcast. I don't want to do it. So I want to make sure that we're both have the time, because I work at home and he works at home. So we have a lot of time between us. So we find a time that works for us. And sometimes it's like Wednesday afternoon at 1:00, kind of our old record time. That always works for me. Sometimes it's Saturday night. Sometimes it's Sunday morning. So whatever works for us. And then, so when we do our recorded show, I record it, I upload to Spreaker, and then that kicks it over to YouTube. So I have it in both places.
Right.
So I have the audio version on Spreaker and the audio version on YouTube. When we do an interview, a lot of times we'll go live, like on a Saturday night, and we'll have our person on. We'll do the interview live on YouTube, and I'll record it. So when I'm done, you can see the video on YouTube. Then I kick the audio up to Spreaker, and then the audio goes to YouTube. So YouTube will have both video and audio. So we'll do it different ways. So if we record. Sometimes we go live, and then I take that recording and make the audio podcast. Right. So, but when we go live with, like, when we have interviews and stuff, when we have authors on and things like that, that goes well. We'll draw pretty well on that, and people come in the chat and ask questions and the whole bit, and just it's a good time. I like doing the live interviews. That goes really well. Mm-hmm. And StreamYard, I don't know if you know this or not. StreamYard now has a new beta feature. I don't know if you got to be a paid member or not. When you're done, now it has to be less than a 2-hour video, just so you know. If you do a video that's less than 2 hours, when you go into your video library, you can generate shorts for YouTube.
Oh,
and
really?
It is amazing.
You mean those assholes that keep on making me go to a 3-hour show and take glee in delaying me so I can cross the 3-hour mark?
Yeah, we just take the best part at the end.
No, it has to be 2 hours or less. Has to be under a 2-hour show.
Yeah, because we did a terrific show, but it was 2.5 hours.
See, you're assholes.
Let me see if I can link it. You can play this one in because it's from my YouTube here.
You should be able to share the screen, maybe.
Let me just see. I don't know if I can share this in the chat, and I'm going to show it in the private chat.
Yeah.
So check that out in the private chat.
Okay, let me go to that. Stand by.
And see if that will play. But that was auto-generated with StreamYard. It took the interview we did with this guy, and it created 5 different clips, and there was 2 that I liked, and I put it up there, and it was pretty darn cool, I thought.
Okay, let's go back to here.
And so when you're doing it's a good way to kind of get a quick clip automatically of your stuff, but it's limited to a 2-hour show.
And then I can add to the stage, and this should play with music.
Something that you
learned. So 2 things I learned. One is that I need to continue to be patient because, again, I didn't expect 7 years from the start of research till it's publishing. But I learned that as we talked about earlier, I knew it was important, but the connections between a city and a team and a fandom and a culture, that it's hard to really understand unless you're part of that. And this idea that I heard plenty of fans talk about, the Celtics as we went to the playoffs in 1984. They didn't play on the team, but for them, it was a significant part of how they understood themselves. And so the idea that a team is so connected to its city was probably the most important thing that I learned and better understood through the process.
What did you learn?
Wow, that's kind of cool.
Was that kind of cool?
Yeah, that was really cool.
Auto-generated with StreamYard. And they said it works well for interviews. It says if you do an interview, it works because it finds like a question, it gets the answer, and it does all these little clips here. And so I picked a couple of clips out. I was like, that was like perfect. He's talking about his book that he wrote, and it was just, that was a great question and a great answer. And it's like, yeah. So I found that someone showed me that. I was like, oh, this is great. So now I use it all the time. Every time we do a show, I'll put up a couple of clips of the shorts. Yeah.
We don't call those who make long episodes assholes, Edie. We call them K-drama studios.
Nice.
Well played, AC Wraith. All right. What do you want to stick around for news? I mean, I know that you haven't heard any news, but you might as well react to it because that's how we know that we've told the good story about what the news is about. Do you want to stick around?
I'll react for a bit.
It's
sure.
two stories, and that's it. All right. So let's hit the news. Whoop, hold on a second. This is the GameHounds news, the news, views, and commentary for the week in gaming with Gamer Edie and AC Wraith. I'm sorry, AC Edie.
Wow.
Gamer Edie. Well, see, I'm so out of focus. I want to say
Nick.
You want to say Nick?
You want to say Nick so bad.
And
Edie Sellers. Yeah, Gamer Edie. Holy Goalie and Creation Chaos. And our first item is, all right, so we might as well hit with the one that's going to do the most amount of damage to poor AC Wraith. Sorry, God dang it, Creation Chaos. I'm looking at AC Wraith on the screen.
We need a jar that every time you fuck it up, you just put it in like $1 in there. And then you send it to me and AC will split it.
I am flipping off more people today in this show than I flipped off the last year. I'm a nice person. Why are you making me mean? Oh my God, I hate you. And I love you too. All right, so Escape from Tarkov. We all know it. If AC Arena,
I've heard of it.
No, you might have not heard it. Damn it, AC Ray, get off my show.
Please don't leave AC.
No, don't.
I've heard the name of it. Yeah.
Okay, so it is you'd call it an independent game, but it is almost like on viral, and for the people that play it, it is an obsession. And there are a lot of people that play it, much like Rust, that the community is not as big as the general population, but it's a significant amount of people, and they love the game a lot, and they put a lot of time and a lot of money into it.
In Rust?
Into Escape from Tarkov.
Oh,
I agree it's a lot of money, but I want to say that a lot of money in gaming has changed by what that means, because there are people who play stuff like Destiny, League of Legends, all those type of games who spend thousands. So
right, true. Well, Escape from Tarkov, they had I guess the original game, and then they released a new version called the Edge of Darkness Edition, which was, how much was it? $150?
Okay, so I don't remember the initial price, but it did go up, and it eventually became $150. And I want to say, like, you have the base game. They come in essentially editions, or basically packages, where if you buy the $40 edition, it's just the game. You got to go in and play it. It is everything that you can have in there. Then I think there's 2 other editions ending with the Edge of Darkness, which gave you more stash to store your loot after games.
A unique stash, a unique container.
Okay. The stash is something that you can get in game, but you would have to spend like resources to build up over time. So with the Edge of Darkness edition, you just got that full stash.
So games are still coming out. You can't really get them for $60. You got to spend more to get the things you're talking about. So this is what, $250? Is that what it was to get everything?
The Edge of Darkness,
$150.
But your instincts are good, Edie or Goalie. Now I'm doing it. We'll come back to that number.
Okay. So they released the Edge of Darkness edition, which had a bunch of, an extra stash, a bunch of other goodies. And one of the things that it had was it a unique container?
Yeah. So in the game, when you're playing the PMC, which is your actual character, you get a pouch or like a container on you. This container, anything inside of it stays on your character when you die. Everything
which is
else
huge.
Everything else you lose. So it's a looter shooter. You load into a map, you go around killing people like other AI or killing players, and you take their loot and try to extract. If you die, you lose everything that you're holding except what's in your pouch. And if you bought the Edge of Darkness edition, you had a 3x3. Whereas if you didn't, you started with a 2x2. And that ends up only being like 6 spaces, but that is huge. And in the Edge of Darkness edition, they say, hey, this is a unique container that you get.
Right. And you were supposed to get all future DLC for the game.
And this is important because it says in its description, all future DLCs, for example, like Arena, which is a separate game mode where you basically just PvP in an arena and like play rounds.
This is interesting because this actually dovetails into stuff going on in our community as well. Whereas, when I was talking about that football game I was playing, so the game's $40 for the base game. If you want to buy a season, so let's just say my favorite season is 1980. So I'm going to buy the 1980 season to play with that game. It's over $100 for that season.
Right.
Now, depending on what game you play, hockey, baseball, football, whatever it is, it's anywhere from $40 to, like $140 for a season. And there's a lot of gamers, the older ones, I ain't paying that kind of money for that and the whole bit and the whole. And then I'm thinking, it's like, something, if I wanted to play Madden, it's not a $60 game anymore. Nope. It's probably bottoms out at $70, but then if you want to get early access, it's another $10. And then if you want the silver packages, and so like you're saying, do you want to have the stuff that if you don't die, you retain something, that's going to cost you money. Now these games with all the DLC, $150. So I'm trying to explain this to my board gaming friends that it's like, look, it's not 2005 anymore. The days of $60 video games are gone. And so, and it's just like in our community. It's like, if you like the game, spend the money on it.
Right.
And
if that's what
don't, then don't. And that's fine.
Yes.
But don't yell at me because I spent like $120 on a season for this football game. I put 80 hours into that season and I'm still playing it. Do the math. 120 divided by 80. What's that? $1.50 an hour? I've got my money's worth out of that.
Right. Well, and that's what a lot of people, including Chaos, who bought the Edge of Darkness edition,
Yeah. Okay.
But
so
it was well worth it, right?
Well, so
If you're gonna play it,
wait,
it's
but
worth
it gets better. This week,
hold on, there's more.
hold on.
Before we get into that,
yeah,
I want to
okay.
explain. I want to explain.
Yes.
Edie or Goalie, you're not wrong. Like that is definitely the direction.
I'm never wrong. Let's just face it. I'm never wrong. I'm never wrong.
But here's the thing: Tarkov, the $150, you're paying for essentially season pass, all future DLCs.
Things are getting kind of hate. Things are getting kind of. I need to block my identity here. Okay, I need to block my identity.
But the Edge of Darkness is technically, in a way, pay to win. It's pay for convenience. But when you buy it, you never go into raid with anything that like the other person couldn't have. That's an important standing thing. Also, the game's been out for 6 years in beta, but they've constantly released like DLC, like expansions or not expansions, just content for the game. They're fleshing it out because it is in beta.
Right.
That 150 has bought you the access to the game up until now, with all future access done. So it is a large purchase, but it's one that supports the game. You get some convenience out of it, and you'll get all other content. So the idea is that you shouldn't be buying anything content related forever.
Right, exactly.
You paid your money.
So what happened this week is the Battle State Games, is the developer of Escape from Tarkov, released a new mode and a new package with that mode called the Unheard Edition, and that is a PvE co-op mode. Instead of it being PvP extraction, it's PvE. It adds PvE co-op, and it was called the Unheard Edition. And the Unheard Edition had a container that was very much like a pouch. That was supposed to be the unique container. And it wasn't free for the people who bought the Edge of Darkness.
Oh,
okay.
no.
And it's $250. And they went back onto the original screen of the description of the Edge of Darkness and changed the description to take out the word unique container and to take out the words all DLC.
Okay, so
let's alter the words all DLC.
So I just went to an all-you-can-eat buffet, but if I want that really good chocolate cake, that's extra.
So Edie's mostly right here in that just like it is a $250 edition. It comes with the PvE mode, which is a full game mode. And we're going to get into that because there's been a lot of other stuff surrounding that. You also get the container, which is the same exact container you get from the Edge of Darkness edition. And they did go back and remove not all DLCs, but like the extra end bit that said like arena.
Yeah, they added the like arena. Before it said all DLC. Then they added like arena and,
it said all DLC like arena, and then they removed the like arena part to basically give no examples of what DLC means. And
okay. I thought it was the other way around, that they were being more specific and saying that it's obviously this little stuff, not the big stuff.
Well, arena was a game mode.
Got it.
Come out that's separate from the game. So by saying that in the initial hey, it's like arena, and then removing
that would include the PvE game mode.
Exactly. So
got it.
Their reasoning for this is that when they think of DLC, they expect content after release that you add to the game, like the Scav of Life DLC, which increases the mechanics for your scav raids and stuff. Since this is a benefit for an edition of the game, that's not DLC. Right. That is a perk of buying this package.
Yeah.
And the package has the PvE mode. It had in the game, your character wears armor and different things to carry items, but every character has 4 unit slots that are called pockets. And if you buy this edition, they will have an expanded pocket, which is an extra tile. So you'll have a 2 pocket slot. That's huge because that means you can fit stuff like magazines in there, and it changes a lot. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it's saying that if you go into raid, there is somebody who will have something that you don't have. in raid. Your character will be better than the other person,
right,
by some degree.
Much of Tarkov is what you have on you. If you have it's the resources that you carry and the management of the space that you have to carry it in.
Yes, and then
so if you have more resources with you, you've got a distinct advantage.
And then there's another unique item called a radio that'll go into a slot, and you can't lose it. And if you level up a particular like character or merchant, it'll prevent the AI enemies from shooting you from outside of 60 feet. So again,
that's huge. So snipers are never a thing, like long distance.
Exactly.
Snipers.
That's actually a big deal because like they give away your position a lot. So having that is another benefit in game that other people wouldn't have the option of even getting in any way unless you bought the $250 edition.
Right. Nick Buyanov, who is the studio head of Battlestate, said exactly that they came back in and said they wanted to clarify the situation because they were getting hammered by their most loyal fans, the ones that had spent $150 for all of this unique stuff and benefits that they were supposed to have that were supposed to be exclusively theirs. Plus, they were supposed to be able to get DLC that they weren't getting, and it did not go over well, to say the least. And from like I said, the most loyal fans, the people who paid the most amount of money already to this point, and so you went and clarified the situation and did explain that the PvE gamer mode, quote, is not DLC. DLC, in our understanding, is the major additions to the game, including various functionality and content that are released after the official release of the game and themed as a DLC pack. And he did specifically say Scav Life. But this is not that. It is a full game mode. And he said that PvE game mode is, quote, necessarily located entirely on a separate network infrastructure. And it was, quote, not possible, unquote, to give Edge of Darkness owners early access to the mode, which is another thing that they were supposed to get that they didn't get. And we're complaining that they were not enabled. It's like, how is it? I mean, if at the very least, you could at least give us early access to it because we bought Edge of Darkness, and they're like, no, we're not going to give you early access either. So it was really like a big fuck you.
You can't do that. You can't have all people's expectations were this, and then you kind of found a loophole out of it to try to get some more money out of people. When that's kind of.
They said that Edge of Darkness owners will be able to purchase the early access of the game for a 70% discount, but they haven't said how much that's going to cost. The base cost is.
I think you'll be able to
upgrade to the unheard version from the Edge of Darkness version at a 50% discount, which is about $130 between the two. So it's going to cost you an extra like $65.
Okay. Don't you think the damage has been done though? I mean, there's been some damage done here. There's been some people who have been like, you know, something.
That's going to sting.
Let's
ask Chaos because he's one of those people who bought the Edge of Darkness.
Okay, I do want to point out that there's new information as of 12 hours ago towards that, and we'll get to that. But that's the end of this story. I was pretty frustrated. Not like just for
you
me,
were so frustrated. You sent both me and Nick a text to say how pissed you were.
Was it in all caps? Was it in all caps?
It wasn't all caps.
He's not that mad.
No, it wasn't all caps.
Not that mad. Not
I
that
was just
mad.
like, new Tarkov dropped. A new Tarkov drama dropped.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. When you play that game, you can tell when somebody has the Edge of Darkness edition because their nameplate's a little different after you've been killed by them or you killed them. You can tell. 90% of the people who play that game probably, I don't actually know the real numbers, almost everyone I've killed or been killed by has the Edge of Darkness edition.
Which is pretty much everybody. I mean, there's how much.
And there's 100, like when this is really popular, there's like over 100,000 people playing this game. There is no game out right now that kind of fills this niche that Tarkov has. So they have room to make a mistake and come back from it because there is no other options.
Mm-hmm.
And in this Edge of Darkness edition, no one would have really cared if they had the extra stuff in this pack that doesn't get talked about is in-game items. It's like you start off with your skill levels a little higher. stuff like that. No one would care about any of that. It's only the stuff that is like your character is actually different from mine, who paid $150 for this game. It's having an object that gives
Nobody else should
in-game benefits, and then you get access to a whole mode. They can come from back to this, and we'll see what happens. But I would say that people are, once bitten, like they're kind of shy right now.
Oh yeah,
the trust has been broken. But what has happened? What happened 12 hours ago?
Okay, so they recently released a thing. One more thing, I guess. Their initial response to this with the
you
PvE
explain
mode,
this. I gotta go get a glass of water because this has gone so far now. I'm actually thirsty.
I'm gonna go make myself an Ovaltine.
Okay. The PvE mode, their initial response for it was going to be, hey, we're going to let you have access to it for 6 months. Anyone who has the Edge of Darkness edition, we'll give it to you for 6 months, and then we're cutting you off. You'll have to buy it, which isn't good. Like, that's terrible. Then they came out and said, hey, instead of that, after the game launches into full release, you'll get the PvE mode if you have the Edge of Darkness. So we can't do it while it's in beta, which might be beta for another 2 to 3 years. You can't have that mode unless you buy this edition, but we'll give it to you eventually. That's really shitty too, because that kind of negates the whole reason why everyone's angry to begin with. So on this last update, what they've said is that they're going to give EOD owners it for free, but they're going to slow roll it out over time. So people are going to get it in waves, which doesn't feel great because their issues is, like they said, they don't have server space for it. So they need to roll people out slowly so they increase server space. I guess it means everyone's getting it for free, but we don't have a timeline of when everyone's going to have it. So we'll end up seeing what happens. They've also added that the PvE mode will have mod support, so they're trying to sweeten that deal a little bit. Like, it's going to eventually have mod support. They are removing the... they're going to rebalance, like, the radio and stuff. And, like, items for that. And rebalance, like, the items that they're giving with the Unheard Edition. So that it's not that bad. I want to point out some of the stuff that they were going to put in the Unheard Edition, like priority matchmaking. So when you would join a game, you'd get put in first, which is so dumb. That feels so bad to put priority matchmaking into a game. They're removing that entirely because a lot of people had problems with that. Everyone who buys the game is going to have the same matchmaking priority as the next. One of the other issues that they haven't really described yet was you were going to get an item that you'd be able to call your friends in from your friends list if you're in raid, and they'll be able to join your raid in progress. They still haven't clarified if that was only for PvE or PvP, because if it's for PvP, that fundamentally breaks a lot of things. And no one's going to be happy about that.
Exactly. That would essentially turn players into gangs. It would be gang warfare.
So overall, what I got from this last update is they've pretty much rolled back a ton of stuff that they had released with the Unheard of Edition. Now, the Unheard of Edition went on sale already, and their response for this was to anyone who bought it is essentially going to get a free lesser version of the game that they can give away, but they're not refunding. Nice. They're not refunding anyone who would want refunds for this.
Right.
And also the people who have...
Of course they wouldn't. Why would they do that? Nobody gives them money back. They never give the money back. You get store credit.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Anyone who bought the EOD edition is going to be able to upgrade to the Unheard edition for $50 right now because it's 50% off. So you're not like losing all the $150 that you put in for that, but it's still not good.
No.
Like, one of their fixes early on while they were dealing with this cluster is they were going to essentially throw a lot of the perks that you were getting from the Unheard of edition on EOD edition players, which felt really bad because it almost felt like they were trying to make EOD players complicit in their action, like priority matchmaking. There's a way you get back items in the game called insurance. So if you die in game, if you insured the item, it can come back if no one else picks it up or takes it. They were going to basically force a quicker version of that onto people with EOD. So it was kind of like, here, let me shake your hand and rub blood all over your hands too. So if you have the EOD edition, you can't complain. That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
But as of right now, it seems like they're rolling back a lot of what they were doing with it. And that is actually, understand that this game, for all of its good and its community and what it provides, it's almost abusive. The dev, Nikita, he does not necessarily, like, he has a vision for the game, and he does not necessarily care about making people's experiences worse if it's for the sake of the game. And he often does not roll back stuff he comes out with. He stands his ground. He doubles, quadruples down. And he did that. The fires must have been so great for him to finally step back and be like, okay,
maybe this time I did fuck it up.
Yeah. And we'll see what happens. We'll see how fast people get PvE access if they have EOD editions. Because if it takes a year or 2 years for people to finally get that, that's shitty. But what do? Like, we can't really force their hand any more than we have if they said they're already going to give it to us.
Mm-hmm.
Needless to say, they took all of their goodwill and their loyalty for this game, the love that people have for it, and they set it on fire with everyone inside.
Mm-hmm.
They have tarnished their reputation. And the thought for this, like, there's no real proof for this, is they released Arena, which is the PvP mode where you get dropped in, you do rounds, and you kill people. The thought was oh, what's going on?
No, you're doing very well. You're doing very well here.
Go on.
Can we post that one in chat? Like, how do we do that?
I kind of, you ever seen the movie Airplane when the guy's sitting there?
This is why I fired goalie.
Remember the Airplane when he was sitting there talking to the guys on the airplane and they're like pouring gas on himself and lighting himself on fire? That's kind of
no, that's not true.
That was a great answer.
Listen, tabletop gamer, fuck off.
Is this story going somewhere?
It is.
Well, yeah. I mean, like I said, it rounded about from a person who never backs down for this kind of stuff. He backed off on this,
right? But in the process, the damage was done. Is that the reputation is in a game that its bread and butter is the loyalty of its fan base, because they almost universally spend so much money to be in the game anyway.
Well, something you just said though, when you just said, that there's nothing like it right now.
Yeah.
So it's not like they can go somewhere and play something similar. I mean, you can, you know what I mean? But I mean, if this is like the big game right now, then they can mess around with people, and it's not going to hurt them nearly as bad as if there was 5 other games like that.
And this is the problem with that kind of thinking of, I can abuse my fan base because there's nothing else out there, is that changes. And moreover, it actually gives an opportunity for somebody to come in with a game that is similar in the future and essentially position themselves as the not you.
So,
we're not like them.
Hours after this had dropped, this update, there was a tweet by a game called Battle.
Yep. There you go. There it is.
What is it? Oh, gosh. It's essentially a Breakout. That's it. It's called Breakout. It's a mobile game extraction shooter, and it almost ripped off Tarkov, like, unashamedly. There are UI elements that look exactly like Tarkov. They're coming out with a closed beta on PC soon, and they posted, "Hey, any homeless extraction shooters, come to us." And
we're not you. Yay, look what we have. It's almost as good, and it's not you.
The main Twitter for Battlestate Games responded to that and say, "Yeah, go enjoy your 20 minutes over there. We'll be here." Like,
yeah, they really need to not have an opinion because that's just going to, the people that are truly angry at them are going to be like, you know what, fuck you, I am going over there.
exactly.
Even if it is, I'd rather have 20 minutes
human
from
nature.
them than 10
Human
hours from
nature.
you because you're an asshole.
There's a game
That's
coming out
everywhere,
called
though.
Gray Zone.
No matter what that is, if someone gets pissed off,
Come on, you gotta love AC Ray. You gotta love AC Ray. Anyway.
But yeah, that's where we're at right now.
That's
we'll
where
see
we're
if
at.
like
The drama continues to develop. We will see, and I'm sure that if it gets bad, that Cass is going to be sending me another text about the drama's gotten worse, and then I'm gonna have to get up and go Google what the hell's going on.
This blew up so far outside of even their circles.
Mm-hmm.
Like you had publications like Forbes making articles about this.
Yeah, about Tarkov.
I've seen a lot of other YouTube channels talking about this because I still got some video game stuff that I subscribe to, and it's like, Escape from Tarkov, Fanbase, and I'm like, I didn't watch it because I don't know what it was, but yeah, so it must be a big deal. Everyone's covering it, yeah. And
there's a reason why I led with this, because this is very much the above the fold.
Yeah, you can't do that. You can't say here's our premium for all-inclusive trip. And then, you got to pay for your own alcohol.
Yeah, all inclusive trip. Once they pay for it and get you out there, it's like, oh,
yeah,
good news. We've upgraded the plane.
It's a cash bar.
It's an extra $250 to get home.
But
it's a much nicer plane. It's a much nicer plane.
It's sad because if they had just come out with like cosmetic DLCs, stuff like that, gun skins, new outfits, whatever, people would happily have supported this game. It has given so much for 6 years of development that there are people who want to put more money into it. Mm-hmm. It is the fact that they thought, hey, we can lock out people who've already bought the game and get more money out of them for almost like what seems like necessary features.
Right.
That really shot, they didn't think about this. They didn't care about the people who were playing the game. They just wanted more money. Right. And part of that reason was their arena game mode tanked. It did not do good. And they had put out stuff at PAX, had giant arena tournaments. They had set up gigantic booths, the most square footage space on those floors of any company.
Really? At PAX?
Yeah. Several gaming. I think they did 4 different gaming conventions. So they put a ton of money into arena and it fell short. And I think they are scrambling.
Got it. Well, I mean, moving right along. Speaking of scrambling, the other monster story that happened this week is with Embracer. Gully, you're familiar with Embracer, right? They were the huge conglomeration that went on a buying spree last year and bought everything.
A lot.
They bought Gearbox Studios. They bought the rights.
Really?
They bought Crystal Dynamics. They bought everything. And to the point of where it was how are they affording this? Well,
credit.
Yeah, it was credit. It was credit. They were putting on credit. They were doing it with loans, but they were supposed to have this deal. Now it's rumored that this deal was with a game company that is essentially funded by the Saudi government, and they had a partnership, and it was going to be a partnership that gave Embracer billions of dollars, essentially fuck you money, $2 billion, fuck you money in gaming terms. And it's the Saudis. It's not like it wasn't it was a finite pool of money. It was big, deep pockets. And the night before they were having the big announcement in front of shareholders to announce the partnership, that the Saudis were coming in with $2 billion. And it was going to be this was going to be the moment when it's it all came together, of all this work, of all this buying, of all this getting the loans in order to get this stuff so that we could finalize everything and get this partnership. The night before, after they'd already done all the PowerPoints, the Saudis pulled out and they were fucked, and they had to go in front of their shareholders and say, we had this deal and it fell through and we're screwed.
You see, it's like this.
Yeah. I remember the the head of Embracer Group, Lars. What is his name? I'm gonna look it up. What is his name? Lars something. He was, I would say, the closest I've ever seen a CEO in tears, in front of, like, on a big stage. You could truly see that he was shell shocked from what had just happened to his company. Anyway, that was quite some time ago. Since then, Embracer has been in, like, trying to save itself mode because they had
investing from everything.
They ended up, they bought, what did they buy Gearbox for? Somebody want to look that up? They bought Gearbox for
like $1 billion.
And they sold it for like 600 million or 400 million. 300 million. They bought it for $1 billion and they sold it for 300 million.
Oh,
yeah, less than a year later, a little over a year later. Like,
that was on Borderlands, right?
Borderlands, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, it's been bad trying to watch Embracer trying to save itself and wondering, are they going to be able to do it? And a big thing happened. And Nick hates Embracer. He just has nothing but awful things to say, that they should never put themselves in this position, because what they did is they bought all this stuff. And yeah, it's terrible that they're losing it, but the thing to remember is that every studio that they either have to shut down or that they sell off, these are real people that have these jobs, and it's the human carnage that is happening because Embracer bought a bunch of stuff they couldn't afford on credit before they actually got the deal inked with the Saudis, which is stupid on their part, and they were playing with other people's lives. And I can't disagree with them entirely. That being said, I've said that I'm very impressed with Embracer of how they've reacted. This is not a company that wants to go down. It's doing all it can to stay afloat. It's making the hard decisions that it has to do. It's fighting for its life as opposed to just laying down and dying. And I had a lot of respect for it for that. And we're doing all the right things. This week they did another thing that is arguably going to affect human carnage to a certain extent, but also the right thing to be doing. Embracer Group this week announced that they are breaking up into 3 different divisions. Now, it's not going to be one. Embracer is going to be like the overall, but there's going to be 3 divisions underneath Embracer. First one's going to be called Coffee Stain and Friends. That is going to be a focus on indie and AA and single A and AA premium and free-to-play games for the PC, console, and mobile. So obviously it's going to be Coffee Stain and some of the like single and AA studios that they've got. Their next section is going to be Middle Earth Enterprises and Friends. Now, one of the things that Embracer did is they bought the rights for Tolkien, Middle Earth, all of that.
Games,
yeah, I won't say Dungeons & Dragons, Lord of the Rings, all of that. They bought rights to that. It was one of the other things that they spent like a ton of money to get. And it was like, well, what's going to happen with that? Because that's up on the table and maybe they're going to sell it. So they were kind of picking and choosing what they wanted to keep and what they could let go, reliably let go without hurting themselves.
How did they buy these things if they never get the money?
They got loans. They got a massive amount of loans to do all of this.
And just for accuracy's sake, they bought Gearbox for $1.3 billion, and they sold it for $460 million 3 years later.
So almost $1 billion loss, $900 million loss on that one. Yeah. So
we can't fathom that, but I mean that's just kind of a day in the life of somebody's company. So I mean,
no, that hurts. That hurts.
How do you operate at a $900 million loss and like? How do you start paying that back? I mean,
anything that was.
Let me tell you how you pay that back. You break up your company into 3 different sections. The first one, Coffee Stain and Friends, independent, single A, double A's. Middle Earth Enterprises and Friends, which is going to be their AAA studios, and also the AAA IPs. That includes things like Lara Croft. So that's going to be the AAA game studios that for PC and console. the Lord of the Rings rights, Tomb Raider intellectual properties, a bunch of other stuff. So that's going to be things like Crystal Dynamics and all of them. Then the third one is called Asmodee Group, which was also purchased for more than $1 billion not that long ago. And Asmodee Group is tabletop game publisher, is tabletop game publisher and distributor. They have a very large network of IPs in the tabletop gaming realm, including Catan. So it's not a small one. Asmodee is a very significant player in the board game industry. They have a major international distribution platform that they employ and use. And they have a bunch of the brands, like I said, Catan, which is the flagship game, also a ton of other ones. And some of the best board game guides are made by Asmodee as well. So it's like publishing, physical like book publishing for guides, and also these AA things that are part of it. So here is the real and how they're like recovering from that huge loss. Asmodee, in the process of splitting them into 3, they took all of the debt.
Yep, I figured they were going to. They just dump it on one company.
They put it on Asmodee.
And then that company goes bankrupt.
Yep.
You just washed the debt off of you.
Yep. Well, here's the thing, is that they have Catan and everything else, and also the debt on top of it, and $958 million in loans that were put onto Asmodee and is now part of the Asmodee Group. So the group has the Catan, the tabletop gaming publishing, the other like tabletop IPs, and $900 million of debt. So the way that this is looking at right now that they've split off these 3 things, if you're not familiar with the phrase, the net debt to adjusted EBITDA, EBITDA. All right. So EBITDA is earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. Essentially, it's just your earnings before anything else gets deducted out of it. The earnings to net adjusted EBITDA factor of Asmodee is roughly 3.9x, and everything else is about 0.6x. Now keep those numbers in mind. That number means how many years it would take to pay, given what you're earning, how many years it would take to pay off the loan that you have on you. Oh, golly. Give it a second. You'll get to get smarter here. You're going to get smarter.
I got ice cream. I need an Excedrin right now. I have a headache from all this. Is this video games? Or is this a college course on mathematics? My head hurts.
This is
the IDIPI.
Games are just math.
All right.
The ISP and the CBT.
Right. Think of it
times
as a
0.6.
Think of it as a Katie ratio. This is the Katie ratio of money.
Ratio.
The Katie ratio of money.
Katie ratio.
All right. So basically, it will take Asmodee 3.9 years to make enough money to pay off the debt that's currently on there now. And that excludes how that debt is going to grow. Okay. It excludes all the interest that's going to earn. So essentially, they're kind of in a really bad situation. Now, the rest of the companies have a 0.6, which means it will only take 0.6 of a year to be able to pay off the loans that they have on them. So essentially, you're turning these two, the gaming, the single A, the triple A, the single A, and the double A gaming studios are now healthy and conceivably will thrive. But the tabletop games are screwed. And here's what I think is going to happen is that they're not going to go up bankrupt. They're not going to take that money and they're not going to go bankrupt with it. Like Chaos said, you could just like let Asmodee go bankrupt and then they carry that loan and they just wash that loan off the books. They're going to be sold. They're going to be sold for the cost of the debt.
Basically, try to get someone else to take
somebody
that on.
to acquire it for a small amount of money and taking the debt. So they're going to like sell it for like $3 million and acquire the debt. So they'll
we're renting
sell
it from
that debt off.
We're renting it from the company we sold it to, so it comes on the monthly debt rather than the yearly GDP. It's brilliant.
It's brilliant. It's essentially,
yes,
it is the futzing of money. So mark my words, you are going to see,
Do they have the machine that goes bing?
They do have the machine that goes bing.
I love the machine that goes bing.
I wonder if they're also maybe just keep it and run it at a loss and use that as like essentially writing off on like taxes. They didn't make any profit.
It could be absolutely. It could be a tax loophole. A way to like boost their reduce their taxes. But I think ultimately what they'll do is they will sell it off for somebody else for a small amount of money and the acquisition of the debt. So then that way, all that debt, all that loss, everything gets washed away and sold off to somebody else who will end up getting Catan, the publishing, everything else for a pretty damn good deal. Because Catan was already I think they spent well over. Let me see what did they pay for?
Hey, Coley, I have a really good business opportunity for you. Like, you want to own Catan?
Does it have the Katie fraction thing in there? I want to make sure it's the Katie thing.
The BIFTA. Think of it as just
Embracer bought Asmodee for $3.01 billion in March of last year. Sorry, March of 2022. So almost 2 years ago. 3.1 billion is what they paid for that. And they're going to sell it off for probably, like 100 million and acquire the debt. So they will be getting essentially, so whoever buying it is going to be getting it, paying ultimately $1 billion with 900,000 of it being, a loan already that they just have to pay off. It's going to be somebody's going to get a company that is very valuable and IPs that are very valuable, and it actually makes pretty good money because tabletops make money, but they're going to get it at a discount just as long as they take the goal.
Do tabletops make money?
Not 900 million.
Well, Catan does.
Some of them do. Yeah, there's some big ones out there. Yeah.
Because Catan is not just Catan the game, it's Catan all of the licensing that goes on to Catan. I mean, I've seen Catan like cereal. It's big enough that it has that.
But those games are a few and far between for the board games. They really are. The whole was it Wizards of the Coast? Was Magic the Gathering?
The Gathering.
I mean, there are some big ones, but for the most part, they're not nearly as big as even the video games come and go.
Mm-hmm.
I got a Skyrim blanket,
and Catan is one of them. Is like that's an evergreen. That's the McDonald's of board games.
Yeah.
So that's essentially what happened. Why it happened. Oh, I never put the banner up. So here we go. Embracer breakup. What, and more importantly, this is what happened. And this is why it happened. And that's what I predict will happen, is that you're going to see within the next, I would say 3 to 6 months, you're going to see a company come in and buy Asmodee for a surprisingly small amount of money, but the acquisition of the debt.
Somebody's got it figured out. Mm-hmm. That's all I know. Somebody's got a way around it. So
yep. Yeah, it's like you bought a bunch of cars, right? And you got a bunch of car loans, right? And then you can't afford the cars now because now you don't have a really good job. You got fired for your job. So you got to get rid of some of these cars. So what you did is you took all of the loans on all the cars and put it on one car that is a really expensive car. And now you're going to sell that expensive car for like $1 and you take the loans. So the guy gets a car that's worth like, I'll say $150,000, but he gets it for $20,000 worth of loans. That's a good deal. Absolutely. I'll give you like $5,000 and like 20,000 loans to get a $150,000 car. Absolutely.
It happens.
Yep. It happens.
This has been the math podcast.
It has. This is the kind of stuff I like. It's the finances. It's the financial shenanigans of the game industry.
Can I go back to talking about Skyrim?
Skyrim's pretty good. Skyrim's pretty good. You know what you should do?
What should I do?
You should look up a channel called Doug Doug playing Skyrim. Doug is he's a Python coder, and he does shows where he does essentially mods in Skyrim.
Oh, nice.
And he has the chat room. His Twitch chat is hilarious, and he will do things like, I'm playing Skyrim. I'm gonna try and get all the way across. I'm gonna try and finish or get to what was the main city in Skyrim?
Whiterun or something?
Whiterun. I'm going to try and get from the beginning of the game to Whiterun, but every time I say, every time I say, I gotta think of something. Every time I say dragon, 10 dragons appear. Or every time I say cheese, 50 cheese wheels will appear. And so the chat room tries to get him to say things that sound like cheese.
Oh yeah, so it gets recognized. Yeah.
So it gets recognized, and
it's interesting.
Fucking hilarious.
That's great. Yeah, Python. One of the hockey games I play, they were advertising they're looking for help for people to help make the cards for the game, but you got to know Python.
Yeah.
I don't, but I mean, yeah.
I will send you some links. But if you have never seen Doug's channel, it's
check it out.
Absolutely. There we go. Doug Skyrim videos. So funny.
Nice.
Funny enough that I've had to pause them because I was laughing so hard. I couldn't hear what was happening. I just fell over on the couch laughing.
There's been some funny things with Skyrim. You go in the house and there's 50,000 sweet rolls in the house and stuff like that.
Yes,
it's been hilarious.
That's the kind of stuff he does. So
I unfortunately have to head out.
I do too. So let's close up this show. Gosh, it was so great to have you guys here. Because I'm not doing the show by myself, which would have been kind
she
of
also
boring.
hates Nick, guys. Just be clear. Let Nick
anytime
know.
no
Message Nick. Tweet
no
at him,
Nick is a
whatever.
good thing.
No comment. I couldn't possibly agree. You might say that, but I could not possibly agree.
Not live on the show.
I couldn't possibly comment.
We can all agree Nick sucks. Let's just say it. Nick sucks.
Okay, we're changing the name. We're changing the name. Here we go. We're changing the name of the show right now.
I think this is like Nick Sucks Part 3. I'm pretty sure Nick Sucks has been
the best show ever. This is the best show ever.
All right, hold on. Nick Sucks Part 3. Okay, the show name is officially changed.
All right, I'm gonna resubscribe to the channel now.
Good. All right, Gully, pitch your show one more time before we close out the show.
We're over at digitaltodice.com where we talk a lot of sports, board gaming, anything that's not video games. No, we actually do play video games. We play video games, but they're sports simulation games. It's very relaxing stuff. You don't need a lot of dexterity for the things that we do. And it's just a bunch of old dudes just kind of reminiscing to their junior high school years playing our sports heroes. And that's what we do.
Awesome. And you can find it at?
Digitaltodice.com is our website. You can go and you can find links to our Spreaker and our YouTube pages and listen to the shows. And it's fun. We interview guests and authors in the whole bit. Yep. You can find us on YouTube, Digital to Dice, on Spreaker, Digital to Dice. And I like interviewing the authors that wrote books. You know, there's one guy that wrote a book about an 1899 baseball team. And he goes, do you know what I had to do to get information on 1899? You know, he had to go to the Library of Congress and look at microfilms so he could write his book. And it was a very interesting story, you know, and he's like, it's the hardest book I ever wrote because, you know, where do you find that stuff? You know,
right.
I had to read old newspaper articles on what happened in the games on microfilm. That's how he wrote his book. Yeah, it was it's such an interesting story. And listening to the stories of, you know, they would have to stop the game at 6 or 6:30 so the guys could catch the train to get to the next game.
So what's your next show going to be on, and when is it going to be?
Next Wednesday night, we're supposed to interview the creator of Digital Diamond 12. Every year he comes out with a new version of his computer baseball game. And we'll be talking to him about his new release and what's new in version 12. And so that is coming up on Wednesday night.
On Wednesday. All right.
On my YouTube channel, yep.
Andrew, where can people find you?
I hope they don't.
Roaming the halls of Google.
Yeah. No.
What? You're not a Google anymore?
No, I've never been a Googler.
I mean you've been at the Google buildings, aren't you?
No.
Oh.
He's on the dark web. Find him on the dark web.
He's on OnlyFans.
Oh,
tell me where your OnlyFans is, Andrew.
Oh my gosh, what do I put
tier
my
gaming quality content there?
For $100, will you write my name on a little floaty
we
in your
should do
pool?
that. We should start an OnlyFans that all it is us gaming. Like, try to see if we can get OnlyFans to turn into a streaming platform.
Have you ever gone to Twitch? Because I got friends on Twitch, and the recommended pages are like girls that are just sitting in tubs in their bedroom, okay? Because they're not allowed to. There's certain things you're not allowed to do, but they set up these inflatable pools in their bedroom, and that skirts the rules. So they're in their bikini in this room with all these floaties, and for $100, they'll write your name on the floaty that they're riding on. It's cost me a little bit of money. Let's just say that. I just want to see footwork. You know what I mean? I just says, Dave. Oh, look at that. That's my name. That's my name.
That's my name. I'm famous.
And these girls do that, and some of them make a lot of money, and it's just like, oh my gosh. And then my poor buddy's on there playing he's got 5 people watching him play a baseball game, and he's like, dude, there's 50,000 people watch a girl just sitting in a pool. That's all she's doing. She's just talking. Hey, how's it going? How's your day? 50,000 people watching. It's like, oh my gosh, is this where we are?
And Jessica Chobot is in Mass Effect. That's all I gotta say. Fuck.
Yeah.
Anyway,
she kind of faded. I haven't heard from her in years.
I know, it's glorious.
And
where is she and where am I? You know where I am? I am right here every Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern on Spreaker or on GameHounds. Let's close out the show. You've been listening to GameHounds. GameHounds episode 714. We recorded this on Sunday, April 28th, 2024. I'm Edie Sellers. With me is Holy Gully and Creation Chaos, Andrew Smith. If you ever want to get a hold of us, GameHounds GameHounds.net is our website. GameHounds@gmail.com is our email. We record this the show live every Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, right here on Twitch and on YouTube. On Twitch, we are the GameHounds. On YouTube, we are GameHounds Vids, VIDS as in videos. Please feel free to come join us again next week, 2 p.m. when it's going to go back to our normal programming with just Edie and Nick, and it's not going to be nearly as fun, but we'll miss you, Gully. We'll miss you. We are 100% Patreon funded, by the way. $1 a month is all we ask. We are not looking to actually get rich and make money on this. We are actually looking just to offset some of the costs that it takes for things like Spreaker, for sound, StreamYard, for some of the other tools that we need in order to do the show. And that comes from you. So if you would like to support us with $1 a month, that is all we ask for that on our Patreon. Patreon.com/GameHounds. Also, we have a Discord. You ever want to find out what we're doing on our Discord? And seriously, there's lots of people that are old guard, new guard, people joining all the time. You can find the Discord. I have put the link up on the show right now. And if you do want to know where our Discord channel is, and if you're listening to the audio show, you can just go to the website, GameHounds.net, and you should be able to find it. It'll also be in the description of this show. Everyone, thank you so much for being here, Gully. Thank you so much for filling in, and Chaos. Thank you, absolutely, thank you for being here, so you could actually explain to me what this whole Tarkov thing is. I appreciate it for making not making me look stupid.
Didn't.
All right, have a great week, everyone. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Happy Sunday. Hey guys, Jess here. Do not censor me. Do not censor me.
I'm not censoring you. You're on it, asshole. All right. Everybody, thank you for coming in, and thanks for all the pissed and forget your life and all these other people that were here. Thank you so much. Yeah, pissed was here, forget your life. There was a bunch of other people that were old guard that came in. Thank you for being here. And we will, I guess, see you next week. Have a great week, everyone. Bye.
Have a good one. I think Edie's still live. I think she forgot to shut down the channel.
Yeah, she clicked the wrong button.
She did.
It's par for the course. So we're still live, but she
now
left.
We can just say anything.
She left the studio, but she never turned it off.
Yeah.
She left the oven on. Is what happened. She left the oven on. You left the oven on. Is what you did.
I hit the wrong button. I'm sorry.
The stove is still left on, and the pot's boiling. And I'm sitting there going, "Oh my gosh, we're gonna have to start a fire pretty soon." We could have said anything on here. Really, we could have. We could have. We could have done the news all over again.
It haven't. I like I said, I have not gotten a lot of sleep in the last week, and so my brain is not working so hot. So anyway, bye everyone.
Bye.
This time for real.